the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal, and people are not happy. Now, to fully break this down for you, we're going to first do kind of like a rundown of this controversy and show you both sides. And then what I want to do afterwards is point you to a bigger discussion. So yeah, it seems like Nintendo kind of stepped into it, stepped all the way in it, no boots. And people are asking, has Nintendo lost their minds? Nintendo Switch 2 reveal happened the day prior to this recording. They revealed that the platform is going to be $440 by itself. It's going to come bundled. There's also going to be a bundle with Super Mario Kart World. That's going to be $500. It's going to, we just discovered it's going to feature, it's actually been confirmed that it does have some NVIDIA upscaling in it, better textures and things like that, better performance. They talked a lot about, performance modes, not always being, but, performance modes, targeting 4K or 1080p 60 or 4K 60 if docked. And, what was it, 1080p 120 if docked, and 720 120p if undocked, right? So there's a lot of crazy things that's said around during the direct. Games to a lot of people look good. The attitude towards the direct pretty much was evenly like, yo, this is dope. I mean, there were some naysayers out there, but a lot of people were saying, yo, this was dope. That is until the prices drop. The price for the unit, $440, caused a little bit of a stir. But I think as people thought about it, they weren't too upset about that. I think people were more or less waiting to see if the unit was going to be 500 USD. That would have caused an uproar universally, I think. But the thing that really set the community off is the $90 games if it's somewhat digital, and $80 digital games. Now, again, that price isn't across the board, but it's starting to look like that Nintendo first party games might steer that way. And then we got more information about games that were originally Switch titles, that if you want to upgrade them to this Nintendo Switch 2 capabilities, the additional price you got to pay for that, people aren't happy. So let's take a look at both sides and tell you what our initial thoughts are. And then we're going to take you to a deeper discussion and show you how to, be part of that discussion. We're going to talk further after we actually look at some hands-on content. All right. But with that said, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, MM2K, Hard Knock Digital Culture, Cloud Dosage, MM2K Gaming, back again with another episode of the Quick Doses, where we talk about the latest and greatest in the video game news that's sparking up conversation in the community. And like I've been saying ad nauseum, we point you to a bigger discussion. All right. Do us a huge favor if you haven't already. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, rock those bells for notifications, please. All right. So, let's talk about it, y'all. And in order for me to do that, I have to go here if it will let me. All right, so this is the Nintendo Switch site where it tells you available June 5th, 2025. You can get access to the Nintendo Switch 2. And again, as I said in the bumper, there are two versions. There are the version with just the handheld, the handheld screen, the LCD screen, of course, which is the actual unit, the dock, and the Joy-Cons, right? That's $449. And then there's another SKU that comes bundled with Mario Kart World. That's $500. Again, I some people complain about that, but I don't think that's the more controversial part. The most controversial part were the games, right? So the aforementioned Mario Kart Worlds. If you want to buy that game separately, the game digitally is going to be $80 digital. But here's the bigger kicker. For $90, you can get what they call the physical version, but all it is just like a mini SD card or whatever, or micro SD card that has the license attached to it, and you still got to download the Mammy Jammy. So people really went in an uproar about that. Let me just show you some of the things that people have been saying on both sides, right? So this is for all intents and purposes, I'm familiar with this person. This is a pro PlayStation account on Twitter. Now they did start off with saying, hinting that there wasn't no upscaler or one wasn't seen, really trying to underplay the visual output of what the unit would be capable of altogether, right? But then that got debunked. Wario had put out here all the stuff, the capabilities, the Switch 2 screen is 1080p up to 120p, up to 120 frames per second, LCD screen with HDR support, Joy-Cons, magnetic, bigger SR buttons, larger control sticks, mouse control, confirm for each Joy-Con, improved speakers, clear audio, built-in mic, 3D audio, new stand, 2 USB-C ports, one top, one at the bottom, 256 gigabytes of storage, new dock supports 4K, fan ventilation in dock, BC with Switch 1, and backwards compatible with Switch 1, physical and digital. But then on top of that, in regards to the things that were hinted here about there not, possibly being upscaling or anything like that, this came out, which Wario put out from from the video. It says, sorry for that mic hit. It says Nintendo Switch 2 unveiled, takes performance to the next level, powered by a custom NVIDIA processor featuring an NVIDIA GPU with dedicated ray tracing cores and tensor cores for stunning visual and AI driven enhancements. With over 1,000 engineer years across every element. Hold on. Let's see. Can we make that bigger? What did I do? Oh, let's close that out. Okay. So across every element, with the ray tracing effects and all, and lifelike lighting, reflections and shadows. So it has tensor cores, AI performance, and all this other stuff. So it talks about, it says variable refresh rate. So it comes with VRR capabilities via NVIDIA G-Sync in handheld mode, ensures ultra smooth, tear-free gaming. So I don't think that the performance was the issue for people. I think a lot of us liked what we saw in some of the demonstration from the stream. But again, here's where, well, maybe everybody weren't impressed. Shuei Yoshida said it was underwhelming to him until the From Software had showed up. Well, that's an interesting take. I thought it was more interesting that they got a From Software exclusive. I wasn't overwhelmed or overjoyed with the game per se. I just liked what I saw, how the game looked. Because if we're honest with ourselves, this is a Switch. And starting with the Wii, Switch said, or Nintendo said, we are no longer basing our games off of the ceiling of graphical and performance prowess of the best out there. If you want a Nintendo product, starting with the Wii, you want a Nintendo product because of its uncanny features, and then now its portability, right? And some of the unorthodox things that we try to do with games, like, the Wii remote, and then now these Joy-Cons that have the mouse feature. When you play Metroid Prime, you can actually set it on your desk and move it like you got like a mouse and a gun. That's a crazy feature. I'm interested in trying something like that, right? So what Nintendo's have basically said is, if you want our games, you're not putting together a 5090 rig, right? Like, you're coming to us for the uniqueness of our games and the quality, the fun factor of our games. So that's why the Wii looked the way that it did in comparison to even the PlayStation 3 and the 360. That's why the Wii U looked the way that it did in comparison to the Xbox, One and the PlayStation 4, and the same thing with the Switch, right? The way that it looked compared to those games. And the Switch 2 is an upgrade. They did make leaps, I feel like, in performance, because now they got games coming up to 120. Like you can, in performance mode, docked or undocked, you can get up to 120 frames per second in Metroid Prime. I never would have expected that from the Wii. And a lot of the handhelds that are out there today, they can't do that. Go up to 120 frames, right? And then a lot of them, I don't know, do they have hardware in them? Like maybe the Asus ROG or whatever, but do they have the hardware in them? I'm proclaiming my ignorance to this, but I don't know. In the Steam Deck, is there hardware in there that will help process AI and machine learning? Is it embedded in there that will help with that? It sounds like that there's dedicated hardware in the Switch 2 that does that. So when I looked at that presentation, I looked at that, saw the capable performance, and then I look at something like a Steam Deck. And even though I can get one at, what do you call it? Even though I can get one like maybe $40 cheaper, number one, I'm not getting Nintendo games on it. And number two, I don't know if the $399 Steam Deck can go up to 120 frames per second. And from what I saw from the $399 Steam Deck, I'm sorry, games on that didn't look as good as games from what I saw, even in the presentation, which, ain't gonna suit it all fairness. You know what I mean? In trailers and stuff like that. I don't think I've seen games on the $399 Steam Deck that look as good as on the Switch, right? So you're getting access to Nintendo games, which are considered the creme de la creme. When we look at NPD, every month we see that little asterisk at the bottom that explains Nintendo games and how Nintendo digital games are not included in the count, right? I believe that's right. Whether it's physical or digital, if all Nintendo sales were included in the Circana/NPD reports, those reports will be overran with the Nintendo, right? Look, I'm not saying this to justify the game's price. We're going to get there in a little bit. But I'm saying when people are like, this is $449, I'm looking at the comparable handhelds that are out there now, what they're capable of versus what they're charging. I'm looking at handhelds that are around the $400 price mark. And I'm looking at the Switch 2, and I'm looking at the games that are present, right, that are unique to Nintendo, and I'm looking at the price point as far as the performance. To me, and to many, the price of the unit itself isn't the crazy part. Don't have an issue with that, personally. And I don't think a lot of people did. I know some people do, but I don't think a lot of people did. All right. But here goes more complaints, though. Here's where we get the nooks and crannies and everything. This is Angry Joe, and he said, F Nintendo. $90 games for their underpowered console, and some of these physical cartridges are fake, just keys to digital downloads anyway. This is a scam, and they want us to pay for the dang system tutorial. No, F that. Boycott this sick filth. Gamers have to take a stand. And Tom Henderson notes that on the Nintendo Switch 2 live stream, which I think is called the Treehouse, that happened as we're recording this, 99% of the comments are spamming, quote, drop the price. But here's the flip side of it. Insider Gaming has talked about what Jason Schreier has witnessed about, or what he's heard about it. So you got games like Cyberpunk that are going to be $70, right? They're going to be $70 on the Switch 2, which a lot of people may look at that and say that is pretty pricey for an older game. It's going to be $70 on the Switch 2. And it sounds like it's capped at 40 frames per second. You know what I mean? So when I look at this, I think the bigger issue, more than anything, is the price of the games. This is where I would say I think Nintendo's going to have a hard time. Yo, what is up, everybody? We are back. It's your boy MM2K. I'm here with your other host, Cold Blood Sensei. Cold Blood, how you doing, brother? You haven't switched to excitement right now? What's going on, brother?
Yes, brother. Oh my God. Very exciting times indeed.
Who would have imagined, like if you would have told me, or Cold Blood, and I hate to speak for Cold Blood, but I think he could correct me if I'm wrong. If you would have told us a year ago, you guys are going to be doing an in a row podcast focused on the Switch too, we would have said, yeah, you're right. Like, go fly a kite to a thunderstorm. But the Switch 2 has become such a crazy thing right now because of the pricing and all this other stuff that it's just sucking all the air out of the oxygen. I mean, it's sucking all the air out of the room, and we got to talk about it because this is going to, dare I say, negatively impact gaming for a while, you know, whether it's inadvertently or purposefully. So we got to talk about it. But before we get into all that, do us a huge favor, y'all. We had to take a hiatus again because of me. Y'all get to thank my wife. She went and got her foot infected. Yeah, Mama 2K, I've been having to put cream all over her feet. But anyway, we had to push it back to today. So let's get those like buttons up. Hit those like buttons for us, please. Also, too, I'm going to start a goal today. If we can get 5 teal super chats, I will definitely, let's see here. Set this for like 3 hours. We get 5 super chats of $5 or more. I'll gift a member. I'll gift a member. And don't forget either that you can hit that join button, get the content that we do Monday through Friday, or you can go to patreon.com, look for MM2K Gaming Member Plus. And there on Patreon, we actually got 50% off the subscriptions. So you get access to the same content at 50% off for the month of April. So go check us out over there. All right. We got some people in the house, Cold Blood. Let's read some of their comments. We got Devil Shooter in the house. He says, hey, Devil Shooter, you had me dying, bro. Cole, I don't know if Cold Blood saw it, but your comment on April Fools. Devil Shooter, you're nuts. This dude, he hit me up. He was like, I guess he was pretending to be a bot. And was saying a whole bunch of crazy shit. You got to see it. It's funny.
But then Game Pass is better now than the Switch?
I think that was one or something like that. And then, then he was talking about other content. I'm glad that other content creators left you. They're better. I was dying. Talking about certain Xbox podcasts. It was hilarious. Double Shooter, you made my day because that was happening, doing some crazy stuff here at the house. JC 2013 says basically the same shit that COD pulled. What's up, yo family, says Juice. Shout out to Juice and cutting it up in the Discord as usual. We got Big Money in the house. What's up, Big B Money, says right for real. And Bender of String says Steam Deck only has 800p screen and it doesn't come with the TV dock that increases resolution up to 4K. All right, Bender, I hear what you're saying. You know, we gonna rap about it. Juice also says, with Xbox 360 graphics, Mario Kart run better at AK120 for $80. Devil Shooter said, glad you liked it. Bro, because at first I was like, hold on, is this Devil Shooter? And I looked up the account, I was like, yeah, this is Devil Shooter. I'm like, what's wrong? What got in the bros? And then it hit me. It was like, bro is trolling me on it. It was good. It was good. Anyway, so let's get right into it, y'all. Let's not bull crap around it. And let me do this. I do want to switch up the videos that we're showing because we're talking about Nintendo. So why wouldn't I show Nintendo? Do I have this set up right? Special video. Did we go? All right, let's talk about it. Okay, so we had the Switch 2 reveal, Cold Blood, and let me just go into the specs. Let me do this. Let me try to like give you guys some of the good before we get into any of the bad. Hold on, what's going on here? Wait, okay. So here goes the Switch 2, the basics of it. It was released at $450. It's $500. This is USD prices, of course. $500 with the Mario Kart digital bundle. It's still to release June 5th. Pre-orders did go up for like 5 minutes, but we'll get into that. It has a 1080p screen, 120 hertz, 4K resolution when docked, upscales games, 256 gigabytes internal storage, 7.9 screen size, voice and video chat, which is Cold Blood's favorite feature, the C button, 2 USB-C ports, and an LCD screen. Right? Okay, so that's the gist of it, right? And people saw the presentation, and we're like, generally we're hyped about it. And some more things people were hyped about is this inclusion of DLSS, where NVIDIA is claiming it gives 10 times more GPU performance versus Switch 1, and includes ray tracing, VRR, HDR, and G-Sync enabled in portable mode. Okay, all right. So those are the pros. The cons are like directly after. I mean, we heard the price of the console, $450, $500. There was some heartburn over that, but not too much. But then we started hearing that games like Super Mario World or Super Mario Kart World, I'm sorry, are now going up to as high as $90 for the somewhat physical and $80 for the digital. So that's now increasing the ceiling for games. So then people looked at that and then they started complaining, saying, hey, look, hold on. I love the Switch. I get that they do certain things different and they charge a premium price for this, but we don't feel like they're in a place to raise the ceiling on the market. No way. We're not getting that. So people start doing comparisons of PlayStation 3 and all this other stuff, and to say the price doesn't justify the output, right? So with all that said, now people are talking about boycotting this thing. It's a scam. Angry Joe's everybody's got videos, but then there's also a side that are like, look, this is the Switch. It's worth it. It's, people are like, I saw one tweet out there where someone was like, you guys are complaining about $80 games, but look at the top games being bought and they're $120 versions and all this other stuff, right? I'm just going to leave it there, because now what I have to do is I have to turn this over to Cold Blood. With all that out there on the table, Cold Blood, I think the people, including myself, we want to hear your thoughts, unfiltered, undebated, unfucked with. We want to hear what you think about this. And more importantly, are you buying it day one or are you buying it day two? What are your thoughts on this whole fiasco with the Nintendo Switch 2? You have the floor, my brother. I will shut up.
So, how we feeling about $90 games? Because in my opinion, this was the last straw for Nintendo. Like, you want to see someone take their own life? You saw it that day. Like, Nintendo literally just said, "Fuck it." We going from $60 games to $90 games, from one generation to the next. When I saw that, I was like, yeah, right. How about I just don't buy your shit? Easy solution, right? You just don't buy that. You just don't buy that motherfucker. Make them suffer for decisions that we cannot influence, really. But we sure can make them feel the burn, like Xbox did with their workers that one day. they make them feel the burn. I hope you get the reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. The direct to me was an absolute joke. I do not know how anyone could give this a 10 out of 10. Y'all smoking something, I guess. Because the new features of the Switch are just a worse version of what PS4 had. Like, with the whole game chat shit. Like, come on. Really? Are we really doing 10 FPS gameplay streaming now?
Yeah.
Like, the fuck is going on?
Oh, man. You said 10 FPS. Oh, man.
Brother, bro, I'm telling you, show them the video again of this voice chat shit.
Yeah, the voice chat is horrible. It looks bad. It does look bad.
Like, come on, bro. You want us to pay monthly for that? That is crazy.
Yeah.
Then also, you launch with no games. I'm sorry, you launch with no games. You just launch with old shit and a fucking Mario Kart that nobody gives a fuck about, that is not playing Mario Kart. Like me. I could not give less of a fuck. So really, if I had to say day one now, immediately now, hell no. What is there to play? What I can play on PlayStation right now? Mario Kart now. Fucking Donkey Kong PS3 edition? Nah. I don't know, brother. To me, this was a very big missed opportunity by a Nintendo. Overall. Like, they did not convince me with the hardware. Not at all. Like, 2-hour battery. The fuck is that? Man, shut the fuck up, dog. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. What else do you want to know?
No, I mean, for now, I just wanted to tap into your thoughts overall into it and whether you were getting one. So, I mean, so the final verdict is you don't, for the foreseeable future, you ain't picking one up, or are you still like looking to see some more things? Okay.
Well, are they going to announce a Xenoblade for launch? I don't think so. Are they gonna announce actual Zelda that we didn't play already? No. Probably not. And I'm not a big enough fan of Metroid Prime 4 to justify $450 for a new Switch.
Okay. I think that's the big, like, you guys may not come down exactly on that the same way Cold Blood does. but that's being a consumer. You know what you expect, you know what you want, and you got to use your buying power in response. Here's my thoughts on it. As far as the question is, am I getting one? No, not right now. Not right now. Here's why. Now I feel like the Nintendo Switch presentation before the pricing came out, I was one of the ones that was I don't want to say ecstatic, but I was excited about it. I liked it. Why? Because my son has a Switch, and I did like the Switch games. I mean, I was interested in playing some of those Switch games, but as y'all know, I can't play in 30 frames per second. That's just not happening here. All right. And the possibility of a unit being able to take some of those older Switch games, play them at 60 frames per second, and do it at a price that I really was like, oh, okay, this is, I mean, $450 is cool for me. I'm fine with that. I was cool with that, right? It got me caught up to the games for the Switch 1 era that I was interested in playing, like the Xenosaga game. I would love to play them. I just can't play them. Like, I'm big on Xenogears. I still got the Xenogears games. And a matter of fact, I have that laminated. I got the Xenogears games laminated in their case, mint off of the original PlayStation 1. I got the one with the 4 discs, so I would love to. I can't play them in 30. So the idea of being able to play those games and the other games in 60, I was down for it. Where I get someone like Cold Blood who's already played those games, he's not interested in a mid-gen refresh of a Nintendo Switch 1, because basically that's what this is at launch. It's just a refresh of the Nintendo Switch 1, because I do agree with Cold Blood. There's not a lot there at launch that was like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like the Switch 1. But for people like me, the last stragglers who don't have it, I think we were the target demo at launch, us and the fanatics. I think the last stragglers that were like, if I get a little bit more performance, I'm going to hop on the Switch bandwagon. And the stragglers, and the fanatics that will buy anything Switch, that are making excuses for the price of the games, I think we were the target at launch. I think people like Cold Blood, they were just like, we'll deal with you guys later. And I was all on board until I saw the price, until I started seeing the list of incompatible games and how big that was. And then, and until some other things started happening, and I'm like, not right now. You know what I'm saying? Like the ability to play Tears of the Kingdom. To me, Tears of the Kingdom, in comparison to what it looked like on the Switch, because my son has Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom looks great to me, as far as, it being upgraded. I don't mean great like PlayStation 5, Xbox level. Absolutely not. But it looks great enough as a Switch game to where I could play it and enjoy a Nintendo game, right? But then when you fast forward to the pricing, that's when I think things get bad. You guys know I always bring the business side to it. So here's what I do understand. I do understand that because of proposed tariffs or anticipation of them, you guys got to understand the price of the yen, how the historic things of the yen. I'm not going to get into all that here, but how the yen affects things. And then in 2024, the possibilities of these tariffs were finally brought up politically, and people in Japan had to anticipate for them. So I understand that. So I understand that there was going to be some type of consequence because of that. Now, I want you guys to look at two different companies, because this is where things kind of show. This is where the hypocrisy, where me and Cold Blood was talking about before the show. This is where it comes to out front and center stage. in anticipation of the tariffs, regardless if you agree with them or not, I'm not getting to that here. In anticipation of the tariffs, what does PlayStation do? PlayStation makes a whole bunch of supply, right? And they send them to the United States. And then because of the yen, PlayStation actually raises the price of the products in Japan because they're like, look, you guys raise interest rates and raise the cost of living. Our sales are going to get hammered here if we leave these at the same price. We got to raise the price. So that's what Sony does. And everybody shits on Sony. What does Nintendo do? Well, Nintendo tries to avert them by making more games in Vietnam, making the games in Vietnam, which they had to know that if the US caught whiff of that, they were just going to throw higher tariffs over there, which they end up doing. But in anticipation of that and to pay for their supply chain, they told everybody outside of Japan, you guys are going to pay for this. Because if you look at the price increase in Japan, it's nominal. And then Cold Blood pointed out to me that it appears that the Switch 2 actually is going to cost less in Japan than the OLED Switch did. So they basically said, we're going to continue to keep prices low in Japan, and we're going to make the rest of the world pay for it. Where Sony, another Japanese company, said, no, we're looking at this globally, and we're going to make adjustments globally where we're impacted. And this is another thing, the similarities between the two. For both the Nintendo, and I looked this up, and because I was shocked to see this, and PlayStation, the number one market for both is North America. Do you know for Nintendo, the number two market is not even Japan? I'm talking about monetarily. I'm talking about as much money as they bring in. The number two market is Europe. And the number three market is Japan for Nintendo. They make more money in North America, one, and then Europe, two, than they do in Japan. Yet, North America and Europe are seeing the steepest price hikes. And in Japan, they're keeping the prices low. So two Japanese companies, both dealing with the same economic pressures. One says, you know what? Our biggest supporters, we're going to do things for the consumer that will not affect them because they're not the government. They're just consumers. Nintendo says the equivalent of, it's like the old Dave Chappelle skit. Fuck that. I don't like when y'all play on my phone and just go bonkers and start smashing the consumer's car and just say, no, fuck y'all. Y'all gonna pay for this. We're gonna keep things to a minimum in Japan. When other Japanese companies aren't even doing this. So, I mean, I get it, but in my opinion, it's a bunch of decisions being made hastily that are causing other hastily decisions to be made that causes dynamic. I can't blame a singular person, but I will say that Nintendo's response to this is very risky. It's basically a thumb to the nose of their biggest consumers. And I don't know if their brand is big enough to survive this. Number one, I feel like where me and Cold Blood agree, I don't think there should have ever been $70 Switch 1 games. I'm sorry. I don't think there should have ever been $70 Switch 1 games. I think that there is a justification. For me personally, this is where we may not agree. I personally agree there was a justification for some $70 Switch 2 games as the Switch 2 were to get fleshed out, and you know what I'm saying, and then they'd have better graphical fidelity, and if they could do 60, I get that. But there should have never been $70 Switch 1 games. So the Switch 1 games that are $70, like Tears of the Kingdom, and even in Japan, you guys may not realize this, but the Xenoblade Chronicle, they had like a version over there that was $70. when you did the conversion. That should have never happened for Switch 1 games. Sorry. So I feel like that the last couple of years they were overpriced in some areas, and they should have just left the ceiling at $70. Nothing to me justifies Switch 2 games, even though this is 10 times higher with the AI or whatever. The output, when you charge, okay, it's one thing when you charge the already established market ceiling. It's another thing when you try to raise that ceiling. So in Nintendo's case, with the Switch 2, they may not have the best graphical fidelity, but they do all this nuanced, quirky shit, and then it's a handheld, and you're getting 120 frames and or 120 hertz in instances or whatever. Okay, so maybe you can push it to $70, but there's not enough quirkiness there to coincide with the output or to the fidelity that justifies anything over $70. I'm sorry. I don't care how much you like the games. People love, there's a whole bunch of games that I love that are $49.99. Just because you love the fucking game doesn't mean that it deserves, that it has to be a high price. And show me how much they're putting into these games that justify the price. Normally you'll see a $70 game because a game has an extremely large budget. I don't see where any of these Switch games have extremely large budgets. Now, the budget isn't the only thing because, you know, it goes by demand. But I think Nintendo's overplaying their hand when it comes to demand. You can't raise the ceiling to $90 because the consumer who sets the demand is going to say, I don't see $90 here. That doesn't mean I don't agree with me and Cold Blood look at this differently because I grew up on Mario Kart. I don't think that Mario Kart is some joke of a game. Mario Kart is huge, but it's not a $90 game. Even if it is open world, that's not $90. It's just
no. Wait. Let me clear this up. Mario Kart is a game that you play once with your fucking family. And then you just let it collect dust because this game.
You made it worse. You didn't clear it up.
This game, you cannot tell me you play this for hours and days and
that's
weeks.
That's why it's so huge. Yeah, Mario Kart is huge, brother. You may. And I'm not into
brother.
it
I am. Wait. I am not saying it's not huge. Mm-hmm. I'm saying it's not huge enough for me at all.
Yeah. But
to get this system.
But people play it though. They don't. I mean, you would say, okay,
sure, brother. Sure.
Yeah.
But you're gonna see this one ain't gonna sell as much as the last one.
I agree with you there. It does not. It's great as Mario Kart. And I'm saying this objectively to other people because I'm with you. I have no interest in Mario Kart whatsoever. I would never get the bundle. I don't care to play the game. Now I could probably get it in my hands and be like, oh shit, this was fun. I wish I would have got the bundle, but I'm not into racers and shit like that anymore. But I understand the impact that the game has on people because I was once there, and then this is an open world one. They're gonna gobble the shit up. Well, the people in Japan will gobble it up. I don't know if it was priced reasonably here, they would gobble it up. I just don't know. I don't know. Make sure that you got it when you got it. Do us a favor, get us to 10 likes. Normally we don't even start the show until we get to 10 likes, but because I had to push the schedule back, I'm being nice. Do us a favor, hit that member button, join at any level. When you join at any level, you get priority picking in your comments, even though we try to go through all of them. But of course, our biggest supporters, we try to make sure that we cover all of them. JC 2013 says, I'm not buying it, at least not anytime soon. He also says, yeah, that game looks horrible. And he says, it's going to hurt them in the long run, he feels. He feels it's going to Bender of
bro,
strings
big money. I love you, brother. You're my new favorite in the chat. He says, who play nothing, just Mario all year? Absolutely, that's my point. You're not playing this game for long. And that motherfucker costing you as much as an actual game with story and everything? Nah.
No.
Fuck out of
here. This is the problem. The Nintendo Switch consumer. Let me ask. Okay, I'll put it to you like this. Because I did shows with Nintendo Switch consumers, or they're totally different from us that play on majority on other stuff. Like, let me give you an example. So Cold Blood, what does your Switch lineup look like? What would your catalog? What are some of the biggest games that you played on Switch?
On the Switch One?
Yeah, on the Switch One, yeah.
Oh boy. Of course, Zelda.
Okay.
Both of them. All the Xenoblade Chronicles.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Smash Bros.
Yep.
Which is an actual full price game. Mm-hmm. Not just a fucking dog shit party game like Mario Kart. I had Pokemon Sword.
Okay.
Fire Emblem,
mm-hmm.
both Engage and Free Kingdoms,
mm-hmm.
or whatever it was called.
Yep.
And also Shin Megami Tensei,
mm-hmm.
because it was exclusive for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Then Monster Hunter Rise as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Monster Hunter Generations. And I did not give a fuck about a single Mario game.
Okay.
Like,
now,
I cannot play those games. I'm just getting bored by them.
The reason why I had you go through that catalog is because 90% of those games, I would say the only games that I probably wouldn't be interested in is the Pokemon and what else did you say? There was some, but 90% of those games I would want to play on a Switch if I could play. The only difference is you don't mind 30, where I can't stand 30. Me and you.
Whoa, wait. I didn't mind it on the Switch One.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
On the Switch 2 is a fucking off limits.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, for the Switch One. Yeah. But we're different. Your tastes don't represent the average Switch game. Like the average Switch gamer, they will play Mario Kart. That's not the only game. And then we're big money. I think he's kind of like going over the top a little bit.
I am not denying that Mario Kart is being played a lot.
No.
All I'm saying is because the price is so high, it's just not justified enough. With the type of game it is.
No game is justified. But like where you said Smash Brothers is a full game.
The average at $60.
The average Switch at $60. Yeah, at $60. The average Switch player is going to sit there and say, well, Mario Kart is just as full, if not fuller.
No, absolutely not.
Yes.
Fuck
and I'm gonna tell you, because I've done podcasts with multiple Switch players. I will bring them on here to tell you that you do not represent the average Switch player. And that's okay. It doesn't matter. You're still a Switch consumer, but you do not represent and neither do I. Like the games that they would talk about, like I would be like, I'm just dead silent. Like, okay. All right, well, that's great. Okay. You know what I'm saying? We don't represent the average Switch consumer. We just don't. So, I get what you're saying, that it's not but none of there's no Nintendo game. Even a Legend of Zelda, which is as big and as, even if it had ray tracing and it looked like a PlayStation 4 game, I don't care. No game is worth $80. But you got to understand that the average Nintendo consumer and the fanatics, they love Mario Kart. They gonna buy that shit up. Now, the question is, how many fanatics are there? Are there enough fanatics to make this a winning strategy? My bets are no, but I could be proven wrong. And y'all can clip this. I don't care, because I don't know. Because I don't know how many fanatics, I'm gonna say
this
no.
Mario Kart ain't selling nowhere near 40 million, bro. Not at $80. No. Fuck no. I refuse to believe.
I mean, if the price is the barrier, I don't know. I really don't know. But you could have a point, because here's the problem. I don't think that, okay. I think there was a chance for it to match the old Mario Kart and more, because there's a lot of fanatics out there. I think there was like let me give you an example. Did you ever buy a Mario Kart for Switch 1? Honestly,
mine came bundled with the Switch 1.
Okay. But you would have never bought that shit, right?
No, absolutely not.
So, I mean, yeah, they can count you, but you know what I mean. If the price of the console would have stayed at $450, you might have some people. It still could have pulled some numbers. I don't know, but now they're like, hold on. We're canceling pre-orders for the moment, and we're we're going to reevaluate this price after you've already made adjustments to everybody outside of Japan for tariffs. I know there's a lot of debate about that, but that's why.
By
they did
the way,
it.
Moss. Here in Germany, it's not canceled. You can just pre-order.
Yeah. But the U.S. is their biggest market in North America, which is their number one market. So yeah, because of that, I would argue on your behalf and say, yeah, I don't know if this is going to get close to 40 million because of that. Because you're going to turn people off. Like if you come back and say, if this thing is like $600, it's not being bought here. It's not being bought.
Well, I wanna see that, bro.
Nobody's buying it.
Bro, it's gonna be a clown show. I'm telling you.
And they would have to immediately release it on Switch 1. Not saying like they couldn't, but you know, they would have to immediately release it on Switch 1. Because nobody's gonna buy it. Yeah, I think they overplayed their hand, man. I do. I get some of the business impetus, but again, for all you people that are out there, and me and you talked about this before we went live, we're going to expose the hypocrites out there. Like, what's his name? Gene Park. Like, I'm not trying to be mean to anybody, but this is full-fledged hypocrisy. I do agree that the PS5 Pro could have been a little bit less. But they were like, we don't have any competition, for one. And for two, they didn't go, yeah, this is the first time it was a $700, well, no, not the first time it was a $700 console, because there were some in the past, some crazy ones. But this was the first time it was a $700 mid-gen refresh. But when you think about it, the median difference between the PlayStation 5 digital and the PlayStation 5 Pro is $250. Guess where there was also that median? The time that the Xbox One X came out. The time the Xbox One X came out, the Xbox One S was retailing at that time for $250, and the Xbox One X was $500. So the medium of $250 isn't new. It just happens to be that because the PlayStation 5 digital was still $450 and didn't see a significant price cut, they left it at that medium. They're like, look, if the market accepted a $250 medium back then, they should accept it now. We ain't got no competition. Again, I'm not justifying the price. I'm just telling you what so you guys can sit there and stomp all over that. And some of that was justified, I feel. A lot of it was just hate. Y'all can stomp all over that. But those of you that are trying to make excuses for this and them setting a new precedent for games. You got to remember, PlayStation didn't set a new precedent for games. They just happened to be one of the first ones that released the $70 games. They were already coming. 2K, Take-Two, all those companies had already announced, yes, we're going to make Game 7. They pre-announced it. It's just Sony just did it. You know, they were of the first ones that come out with $70 games. They didn't do that on their own. Nintendo on their own said, we are now going to give you $90 games. And you guys are justifying it. So yeah, the hypocrites, y'all looking bad out here. Because the moral of the story is, if you like what you like, and if you're willing to buy it and you got the pockets to do it, great. But don't get mad when other people don't want to do it. Like, I wasn't mad when people said, no, that PS5 Pro is too steep for me. I'm not buying that shit. That's their choice. But you on the other end of this of these mics, where you were trying to call us stupid and do all this other shit. Now you want to buy your $450 or shit, your $600 Nintendo Switch. And now you should be left alone. And now you're trying to justify it by going to deluxe editions of AAA games using all of the AAA bells and whistles. You're really trying to compare that to Mario Kart World. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can come down the middle of this. I can recognize how big of a product Mario Kart World is, but also understand it ain't the biggest bells and whistles AAA. It's far from it. Y'all are hypocrites, man. Y'all are hypocrites. And y'all need to stop it. Because the problem is, as much as I understand what Nintendo was trying to avert, how they're going about it, I think it's dumb. Look at Sony and look at Nintendo. Two Japanese companies. It don't even matter, Japanese. Two companies that are going to be dealing with the same set of tariffs. Xbox is going to be dealing with these tariffs too. Why? Because their productions are in these companies that are being hit with the tariffs. These consoles have to be produced in companies outside of the US because the cost of living to hire workers here in the US would inflate these consoles. They would be $1,000. So they have to be made in China and Vietnam and elsewhere, right? Or they would be too high. So Xbox is going to be affected by this too. They in unison sent a letter to the White House. It wasn't just the Japanese companies. So in lieu of them having to experience this, guess what Sony did? Sony hurried up and ramped up production that would have cost them money. They went outside of their budget, ramped up production in hopes that it would help them in the long run. So they took that hit and that risk, made oversupply, which means they got to store in warehouses longer. Sony's taking a hit on this, and they said we're going to take a hit for our consumer because it'll help us out in the long run with our consumer. Nintendo just said, and might I add, PlayStation did that amidst some of the lowest margins that they've ever did. They just started getting their margins up. This is going to lower their margins. But they're like, it's better. They have the mindset, it's better for us to do what we can for our consumers and keep costs lowest with them, especially our largest consumers in US and Europe. It's better for us in the long run. We're going to come out better at this on the long run. That was Sony's take on this. Nintendo's take is just like, we ain't eating shit. Fuck you and your mama. Japanese, my fellow Japanese, we're going to take care of y'all. And Europe has nothing to do with this. But they're going up, at the same margins as in Europe. And while PlayStation is seeing record low margins, and Nintendo had a margin dip too, Nintendo's margins are still in the 20%. Now I get it. Nintendo makes less revenue, so it, you know what I mean. So they need those higher margins, but you don't see none of that from Nintendo, because I think PlayStation and Sony looks at themselves as global, as global companies that just happen to originate out of Japan, but we're global companies. Nintendo, tried and true, is a Japanese company that happens to do global business. Nintendo doesn't really look at themselves as a global. Have you noticed you don't see Doug Bowser all like that amongst all this recent tension globally? You hardly see the motherfucker. So I just want you hypocrites to think about that. All this shit that you gave PlayStation and Sony, meanwhile, they're providing AAA creme de la creme technology experiences in the PlayStation 5 Pro. With the Nintendo Switch, not only did they raise the price significantly out of Japan, but now they're charging you $90 games. And then the games that they're giving you, Cold Blood, for $90, it's just a license for a download, right? But in order for you to play the game, that license has to be in the unit. So for the sake of game preservation, let's just say if those servers ever go down, that card is useless. You can't play the game no more. Card is useless because all it is license. It's just a check-in license on the card. So for game preservation purposes, it's over. You know what I'm saying? But yet y'all want to hate on Sony and y'all ain't keeping the same energy for PlayStation. I mean, y'all want to hate on Sony, but y'all ain't keeping the same energy for Nintendo. All right. Let's see here. DK most likely has a higher budget than MK World. Why is MK $10 more expensive? What do you think about that, Cold Blood? I think that's a good point by Boycott Activision. Or is that you? No, that's not you. Oh, Cold Blood.
I don't know. No, bro. I don't know about the budget of the games. Like, I could not give less of a fuck. If they look unimpressive, they're not worth to me that much of money. And this being $70 and Mario Kart 80, bro, you know they do it because of the name. Just because it's Mario Kart, they think they can do whatever the fuck they want with the price. With Donkey Kong, they're a little bit more cautious. Yeah. Because let's be honest, Donkey Kong is not the most popular character from Nintendo, not by a long shot.
Yeah. And I don't think this Donkey Kong was made by a Nintendo studio. I think it's like a second party game, from what I heard.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Look, Nor said the 450 is not because of the tariffs. Look, Nor, yeah, it's because of the tariffs. Because they don't, you can't switch supply chains free. Like when they switched to Vietnam, they had to pay the warehouses there for the increased, people got to produce this stuff. So you got to hire more people. You got to then go to railways over there and hire them to store this stuff, to house this stuff or whatever. Hold on one second. Hold on. Okay, yeah. So, you that comes at a cost. And so when you crunch the math, look at Snore. When you crunch the math, you can see that it was that the increased price in the US is around the same amount that the tariffs were expected to be for Japanese products. Let me do something. Let me see something real quick. So it was definitely because of the tariffs. But now that the tariffs are going to go up again, now they're going to readjust. And what they were trying to do was save face and include the price of the tariffs in the console. That's why I think a lot of people are like, why didn't they say the price of the console in the presentation? Because they didn't know what the tariffs were going to be until the day that they decided to launch it. So that's why they had to have separate slides and stuff with the prices in there and based upon the regions too. So that's how the supply chain and stuff work. You know what I'm saying? To where it did have an impact on the prices that they put up there. And the thing that they're doing is just they're saying, hold on, I gotta text my wife back real quick. They're simply saying, you guys are going to eat this. US, you're going to eat it. Europe, everybody else, you're going to eat it. And maybe you guys will get mad and you'll say something to the United States about it. That's what they were banking on. So yeah, it did have an impact. That was a motivator of because if you look at what this could have been based upon actual production, take the tariffs and stuff away, maybe $400. Maybe. You know what I'm saying? So Juice says Nintendo has been getting away with this since last gen. There's no way you can put Zelda at 24 frames per second next to Stellar Blade and say they both cost $70. Yeah, I agree, Juice. I don't think that they should have ever raised that price last gen. Now, if they wanted to, again, you got to understand the lore of the Nintendo product. Everything can't be a 1v1 match based upon performance. So the lore of the Nintendo product is different. So for them, this is a 10th gen product. So the ceiling, I'm not saying every game, but the ceiling being $70 would make sense now. It would make sense now. Maybe at worst, if they wanted to charge you something extra for physical, which to me, I still, maybe the gaming community wouldn't have lost their shit if for physical it was $74.99. People would have still talked about it. People would have still bellyached about it. But if for physical it was $74.99 and now it's $70, that's different. But now you go from to 80 and 90. Here's what it does. And this brings us to our next part here, which we're talking about when it comes to Nintendo. Its impact on gaming. Cole, I got a question to ask you. Because Nintendo pulled this shit, do you now expect GTA to be $100 when it releases?
Go ahead and try. See what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bro, $100 game.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what do you call that?
It's highway robbery, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
Rockstar is gonna tell you they don't give a fuck if they do that. But then, like I said, if I can't find that game anywhere cheaper, I'm probably not getting it day one.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, $100 for a game that should be boycotted immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you buy it at that price, you're gonna tell the rest of the gaming industry, hey, it's okay to go up to 100.
Mm-hmm. So Doriega, shout out to Doriega. Doriega had a point in the chat. I don't know. You will be able to tell me better than Cold Blood because I have a digital version. He says, same as licenses on PS5, bro. I'm in both ecosystems. You got to download the full game, popping that disc in. I'm fully digital. So is it true that, now I know for day one patches and stuff like that. I'm not talking about that. But in your experience, do you have to, is there something, you got to download the game in order to play it on the PlayStation 5? When you got the physical version?
Not necessarily, but it's just some games don't allow you to play them without the day one patch.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a site where you can look it up, like what game can be played offline completely and which can't.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not a standard. You know what I'm saying? And what it is, and that's a little bit different because a lot of these games, they go gold and final bug fixes they throw in later or whatever. But in all of these cases with these Nintendo Switch 2 games, I'm not saying every single game, but there's certain the games will not be playable without the download portion of it. So, maybe okay. So maybe not 100. And I don't approve of this at all. This is where me personally, this is where I'm most upset. But Cold Blood, okay. So maybe not 100. But do you think that they're gonna just say we're coming out at 80? GTA.
Welcome to my world. Then I'm gonna say. Because that's what the fuck it costs me now in Germany.
Oh, you think I bet you they're gonna go up 10 everywhere. They're gonna go up everywhere.
Yeah, 90 euros would be fucking insane.
Yeah, they're gonna go up everywhere. But do you think?
I hope, bro. My hope is Sony is not dumb enough to raise the prices mid-gen.
Yeah.
I would hope they wait at least until the PS6 is out, and after that, make those games fucking $80, $90. Because right now, how are you gonna justify now mid-gen? Oh yeah, we have to raise the price.
We raised it 2 years later. Yeah.
Like, bro, Nintendo has no fucking right, in my opinion, to charge gamers $30 more than they did previously. Because you go from 60 to fucking 90. What the fuck? That is ludicrous.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm sorry. Could have just texted me that. Fuck. Anyway, yeah, I think that's what everybody's missing here. Like, even if you're okay with $90 games, no, I'm sorry. Even if you don't care that Mario Kart is as high as $90, you're like, oh, that's cool for Mario Kart. I don't mind.
Okay, that. Moss. Let's make it completely clear. We don't give a fuck if you are okay with $90 games. We don't give a fuck. Do what you want to do. Just never in your life come back here and talk about how anti-consumer the rest of the gaming industry is. If they raise the price.
Yeah.
Like, do me that favor and we are good. We ain't gonna be arguing either.
And just as important as that, I don't want to play 90. I don't. If you're okay with $90, okay, fuck you. I don't want to pay $90 for games. Like you go, you know what I'm saying? If you feel that way, do what Mike Ybarra suggested. Go pay $7 to $70 for games and go tip them motherfuckers $20 somehow. Send a cashier's check to those motherfuckers. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Send them a carton of Newports or something. I don't give a fuck what you do. I don't want to pay $90 for no fucking game. You know what I'm saying?
Oh nah, like, bro, no, wait. I forgot he suggested that.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Do what the fuck he suggested. Figure it out. You go, y'all pool y'all money together. You know what I'm saying? And you go bring a basket to this. I don't care what you do. I don't want to pay $90 for games. But me knowing the business side of it, this is how the market works. By Nintendo doing this, and Take-Two, and I know this from experience from Stadia. I know you, but listen, this is why I don't regret, because I got firsthand experience with this. One of the big reasons why Stadia fell apart is because when Jason Schreier, and they were fucking fuming when this happened, when Jason Schreier released that report about how much Stadia was paying for ports, Take-Two was looking at how much Ubisoft was getting for ports, and they're like, whoa. You're paying them that much and you're giving us something comparable? And we're Rockstar. This is Red Dead Redemption. What the fuck are you? Nope. And the prices went up for pretty much all these big time AAA developers, which made it hard for them to get AAA games on the platform. You know what I'm saying? I know Take-Two and Strauss Zelnick is sitting there like, before Nintendo released this, was like, yeah, we can't launch $100 games or, $80 games. But what we will do is we will nickel to dime the fuck out of you, like, through microtransactions. And those of us that don't buy those microtransactions would have been fine. But the rest of you that do, they would have just nickel and dime the fuck out of you. I don't care. But I know Strauss Zelnick is sitting there like, oh, they're charging $80 for that? And Cold Blood come June 5th, if this unit sells like crazy and there's a whole bunch of the bundles and all that other shit, and they get away with this shit, a bunch of Mario Kart, if they get away with this shit, bro, I know what Take-Two is going to do, because I've seen them do it before. They're going to be like, there's no way, because this is the excuse they're going to make. There's no way we can't now undervalue our product. Our product is also popular. It's the biggest game in the fucking world. And our product has more technology in it. So not only is it as popular as any Nintendo game, but it has more bells and whistles. There's no fucking way they can charge $80 for that shit, $90 for it, and we don't do something similar. And my friends, then you're now presented with the possibility of the first time this ever happening in a generation that the price goes up fucking twice. Price is gonna go up twice. And it might even set a precedent to where, and a lot of you motherfuckers ain't old enough for this and y'all don't want this again. It might set the precedent of, generations past, where they set any price for the game. The game could be $34.99. It could be as high as $99.99. So y'all don't remember this shit because cartridges were expensive to make. And the price didn't come down until they started making them on CDs. That was another lure of the PlayStation 1, is that they didn't have all these skyrocketing prices all over the place because of the cost of cartridges. So yeah, y'all might be setting the precedent and setting your sights on being okay with it being the Wild Wild West days where you can get charged anything for a fucking game. Fuck a deluxe edition. We're going to charge you $134 across the board, and the deluxe edition will just be included. You guys are advocating for that. You can't advocate. You can't, even if you're creaming your pants for Mario Kart, as a consumer, you gotta wisen up and say, there's no fucking way this should be $90. Yeah, yes, play Beyond, absolutely. They were fucking expensive. It's just because the game started getting bigger, and so then the technology to put them in a cartridge, it started getting more complicated and getting, they started running into a wall to where they're like, we got to do all this crazy shit in order to fit these games on these fucking cartridges. Like, we got to figure out something. So the games, it became the Wild Wild West. $34.99 for this game, $69.99 for that one, $74. The prices were all over the place. I think it was like that for the Nintendo 64, and then I think then we started seeing some of that with the Sega Genesis. Like it started, the Wild Wild West pricing started with some of the Genesis games. Like I think one of the Final Fantasy 2. I think that was like at a crazy price. How much was Fantasy Star? I'm sorry, Fantasy Star 2 at launch on Genesis? And we're talking about the 90s. Yeah, at $99.99. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Fantasy Star 4 was $80. I remember my cousin, he was in the service. He's in the Air Force. And, I came up for the summer, and Final Fantasy 2 is my favorite game of all and the Fantasy Star 2 is my favorite game of all time. Fantasy Star 3 was trash, but Fantasy Star 4 came out, and it was back to old form. And he was like, yo, I got Fantasy Star 4. And I was like, oh, and I didn't have the money. I had just started working, and I was like, fuck, I ain't got $80 for this shit. And he had it on the Air Force Base, because he got it, P-Rock talks about it all the time, but yeah, they get shit discounted. And he was able to get Fantasy Star 4 for like $50 or something like that. This is back in 93, 94. No, like 95, 96. He's able to get it for $50 out of the Air Force Depot, and we was playing. I was like, "Oh, I got you, man. I'll bring you $20. Let's play this shit during the summer." Now some of y'all thinking, how the fuck did you get on the Air Force Base? Shh. That was the best time I ever had. They fed them motherfuckers like crazy. But anyway, yeah, you got Fantasy Star 4, from the Air Force Depot store mall, where everything's heavily discounted. He got it for like $50. I gave him $20 on it, and we played the shit out of that game. That's all we did. We played the game, shot some pool, went and ate, went and chilled with the MPs and all that. I'll never forget that summer. Fucking yeah, $80 game. It was the Wild West. And we were paying those prices back in the 90s. It was crazy. But there were a lot less games coming out that people really, there are so many more games now. You guys are investing more time in these games. Can you imagine paying $80? You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna tell y'all, man, y'all don't want those days again. He said Mario RPG cost me $1.25. Yeah. Paul Game said back then all you needed was a driver's license. No. Here's what it was for me, because I was on Andrews Air Force Base. Oh shit, I probably shouldn't say this. I was on the Air Force Base. I wasn't allowed there. But my cousin was so cool with everybody, the MPs, which that's the military police. He was cool with everybody. Like even the drill sergeant or the motherfucker that was in charge of his sector. He was so cool, they let me on. I just kept a low profile. I just kept a very low profile. I didn't go anywhere without my cousin. And I was at the slop hall where they would eat. All you needed was a ticket. He gave me a bunch of tickets. I go eat. That's the only place I would go to the slop hall by myself. Go eat. You know what I'm saying? And we go play pool, do all types of shit. I wasn't allowed on the base, bro. He snuck me in that motherfucker. But yeah, that was the highlight of it, was because we both were in love with Phantasy Star 2. My whole family was in love with that shit. All of us beat Phantasy Star 2 together, like, ooh, ah, ooh. And when Phantasy Star 3 was trash. Phantasy Star 4 came out, we were like, oh yeah, they're back to form now. But it was $80, I believe at the time. And everybody else, my brother and everybody else was like, nah, we can't, I ain't getting that shit. And then my cousin was like, yo, I got it. Like, it's $50. He was like, yeah. I was like, yo, I got you, because I got $20 on it. I'm coming up. He said I used to go on at Maxwell Air Force Base that time to see a friend. Okay, see, Maxwell may have been a little bit more lax. Yeah, I was on Andrews. I was on Andrews Air Force Base. My cousin was cool with everybody. So yeah, that's my issue. I don't care if you guys love this. I don't care if you guys are like, oh shit, I'll pay $1,000. Like, at some point in time, you guys got to understand, you got to pick a side. I'm gonna just give it to you plain, clear, and simple. We may not always agree on gaming, but you got to pick a side. And I know people are like, oh, well, pick a side. What type of console fanboy wars? No, I am speaking to you as a business person, because they pick sides. The businesses pick sides. They are not on your side. They are on the side of the investor. You have to pick a side. Am I a business nut glazer or an investor or part of the business, or am I a consumer? You're on a completely different side than them. If you're investing in Nintendo, or you work at Nintendo, or you just want to be a corporate nut glazer, then you justify this. There's no justification of it from a consumer standpoint, because what this is going to do is raise the price medium of games and present to you possibly the wild west of gaming that you don't want back. Trust me, anybody that comes from my era will tell you how crazy it was. There were times you just couldn't play games. You'd be like, damn, I really wanted to play that game, but that shit is too expensive. And Sony came through with the solution. Well, Saturn did too, but Sony really, honed in the solution with the discs, where prices were more stable. Y'all don't want that shit back then again. Because I will say this, with the price of inflation and how much games cost to make right now, you could make an argument that game prices should be higher, but under no circumstances should there be a situation where they're raising prices multiple times, same generation, 2 years apart. No. You get one generation to crack at it. You get one generation to have a crack at it, and you got to live with that. That's the way it should be. It shouldn't be, we're going to do this. Nintendo, because Nintendo wants to be nativists, because their answer to the tariffs is, even though our yen is going up, and even though these prices, if our yen is going up and our government wants the yen to be comparable to the dollar, meaning that the prices should be on par with the dollar, like prices are going up equivalent in the US and in Europe to what $10 is. Like it's 8 something in Europe, or you know what I'm saying? Or in UK, for instance, is 8 something pounds, which is equivalent to like $10 US dollars. The fucking game should be going up equivalent to $10 in yen, because now they want the yen to be on par with these other currencies. But no, they're going up to the equivalency of $6 at the most. That's not what Sony's doing, because Sony gets it. We're a global company, and most of our money is coming outside of Japan. We can't do this to them. But y'all want to call Sony the greedy, which I'm not saying they aren't. But y'all want to make it seem like that Sony's on this aisle by themselves. And they went back to Japan and adjusted their prices appropriately. And what Nintendo was saying is, fuck everybody else. If you're not on this island buying this, fuck you. And not only, if you think about it, not only are you paying for the price of the tariffs, you're paying for the fact that our yen has grown up in value, and you're paying the cost that should be paid in Japan. They're sticking that all on you, and you're clapping for it. You're a fucking idiot if you're doing that. I'm sorry. You're an idiot. You have no business acumen whatsoever. You're an idiot. You're a nut guzzling idiot. Period. It's not just about the tariffs. Games are only going up $6 during most. They got to go up higher. They're trying to put the yen on par with the rest of the currencies. You're paying that differential and some. So unless you are that pro-Japan, as you know what I'm saying, as far as them reaping the benefits off you, like, hey, look, I want the people of Japan to really benefit, and I'm willing to sacrifice my income for their sake. Yeah. Even though most Japanese companies are doing this, I'm willing to take the hit for Japan. Unless that's your stance, or unless you own stock in Nintendo, or unless you're an investor, you're a nut guzzling idiot if you try to justify this, if you don't fit into any of those other camps. Why? Because you haven't thought about this thoroughly, and you haven't realized that Nintendo is putting the overwhelming majority of the costs out, even outside of the tariffs, on you. Cold Blood's not in the US. Why is his prices going up? Like this? Why is his prices going up like this? It ain't got nothing to do with none of this. Why are they only seeing $6 increment increases, and we're seeing this? Why? And you gotta ask why, for the simple fact that they make most of their money out of US and Europe. That's the spit in the face. Most of their money is made out of North America and Europe. Japan is third. What is the justification of this? I don't understand it. It boggles me at times, and it makes it hard for me to focus when I'm preparing notes and shit like that. That's why I don't even prepare them anymore. I don't understand the idiocy within the gaming community. You guys love hitting send. You love just jerking off to the most dumbest ideas and notions, and you don't think. Just for the sake of hating or glazing your favorite company. Well, I mean, Sony did this, they're horrible. Why? Nintendo's doing this because they have to. No, they don't. Is Nintendo faced with a problem? Absolutely. Are they faced with a problem that, you know, there's going to be some heartburn over? Absolutely. I'm not, you know, who's to say that after the supply that Sony had overproduced here and have sitting in warehouses in the United States, who's to say that after that wears out, they have no choice but to raise the price of the hardware? Who's to say that? But at least they tried. Nintendo's not even trying. They came up, listen to this. Let's recap. Let's go back in time. They came out with a price, then pulled the price back like less than 48 hours later and said, hold on, we're going to have to come out with a bigger price. And they already get most of their money from you anyway. You're not being a self-conscious consumer when you do that. Stop being nut glazers. Start being self-conscious consumers, because they already got enough people on their side. They got lawyers and CEOs and analysts. Analysts were coming out here saying, yeah, hopefully they do raise the price of Grand Theft Auto. Hopefully. They got investors. They got all these people on their side. They don't need anybody else. When are we going to start looking out for us? When? When is it going to happen? Y'all want to glaze their nuts so bad, and they don't give a fuck about you. Trust me, I know. I've been in the boardrooms, we've been in the meetings. They don't care about you. You're an ends to a means. You're a way to show investors we got a good enough gimmick going on over here where you can make some money. Come and invest with us. That's all you are. You're fertilizer to help their grass grow. That's it. You're fertilizer to them. That's it. Please wake up. Let's get to these comments. Sometimes y'all we got to have these coming to Jesus speeches with y'all sometimes, because y'all don't think. Me and Cobra can disagree on what we like and what we don't like, but both use our common sense as consumers and come to the same point and say, this is not good. There's nothing good about this. There's nothing okay about it. Now, I get it. Some of you are just like, look, this is bad, but I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I understand if you're like, look, man, I don't even want to get into this. That's fine. But for those of you that are trying to defend this, what are you doing? They have enough people on their side. Why can't you be on the side of consumers? They have enough people and analysts or whatever to make, and they're going to be okay to make sure that their businesses are okay. We don't need no more people over there. We need people advocating for us. Nintendo, and I'm going to go to Juice's comment, because Juice hit it right on the nail. He says, MM2K, we all know sooner or later games will be 80. Nintendo can't be the one to start it. I wholeheartedly agree. There's not enough there with the technology, I mean, with the quirky shit that they do, along with the underperformant technology that excuses this. There's not enough there to justify them leading the charge. I just got an error message, y'all, on YouTube. Can y'all hear me okay? Just give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me okay. I just want to make sure you guys can see me and hear me okay. Yeah, Paul Game, yeah, Xbox is going to raise prices. They're going to have to. They're going to have to raise prices because they're affected by this too.
Moss. Remember how Nintendo fanboys told us Nintendo doesn't need to lay off people because they're doing great?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Nintendo's turn now. I think hashtag laid off is now also going to be put next to Nintendo, brother.
Well, we know why they're doing great. Because they're charging everybody else. That's why they're doing great.
Yeah. And if it goes well for them, I guess they're not going to do it. But I think it's going to go bad.
Yeah, I'm doubtful. And again, I could be wrong. And I know they'll come in here, you were wrong. I mean, I don't care. But I'm I'm gonna be honest with you. As bad as I wanted to switch to when I saw that presentation, I was all ready to go. As bad as I wanted to switch to, because in my use case, it would have I had a whole slew of games in mind, and a lot of them I already got in my possession because of my son, because he don't even play a Switch anymore. I'm trading his shit in. Shit. I bought that motherfucker. I'm trading it in. Hey, but I would have traded it in. But we got a lot of the games here. So in my use case, it was like a mid-gen refresh, you know what I'm saying, thing for me. I was ready to go. But not for those prices. And then, okay, I would have, and I still, even though when I saw those prices, I was like, because me and Cold Blood, we were chatting about this all weekend. And I was like, in my case, I'm going to watch and see what the prices are of the games that are for the Switch 2, how much they're going to be. And I'll make my decision based off of that. But $450 is not a problem. But now they're talking about raising it again. So now you're going to raise it even further. And you got $90 games? No. Like I will put it to you like this. If they were to say, all right, this is just me. This is just me talking, just to show you how fair I am. I think I'm being more than fair here. If they were to say, you know what? We are going to have to raise the price of the unit to $500 in the US. But guess what? We've had a change of opinion on the games, and we're going to lower the price of the games, which I doubt they're not going to. If they were to say something like that, maybe I would be back in the market. But I'm not paying over $500 for this thing. Absolutely not. And I'm definitely not paying anything over $450 if there's a possibility that the games I want to play are going to be over $70. Absolutely not. Absolutely fucking not. Play Beyond says, I was hyped for it, but these prices killed my desire for it. I realized I don't need it. I don't need it. And that's another thing. I don't need it. It's I'm not mad about them pulling the pre-orders, Cold Blood, and then them going back and raising the price. I'm not mad because I don't need it. I can very easily say, fuck you. Don't need you. Right? But the thing that's got me upset, Cold Blood, is these games. Because even if I never, but this is what we got to understand, y'all. And this is where come on, let's band together. Like y'all might be saying, oh, it ain't that serious or whatever. Until you got to start paying, until it starts hitting games that you want to play. So when like Cold Blood said, when Grand Theft Auto comes out, don't come bitching to us. Oh my God. Or if Sony does raise the price of their game, don't come bitching to us. Because this is your moment. All you got to do is speak up, and just speak up consistently. That's all you got to do. You guys did it for fucking Fortnite, for crying out loud. They did it when Fortnite. Oh, how come Sony isn't making Fortnite cross progression across everything? Oh my God. Y'all spoke up, had an effect on the market. Sony changed their minds. Y'all gonna speak up for Fortnite? You can't speak up for that? Like, what type of fucking upside down topsy world did I live in?
Bro, it only concerns PlayStation.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yep.
We just shut the fuck up. Do it the fuck up.
let it happen. What type of upside down topsy turvy world I live in? Y'all motherfuckers went ape shit, had a coronary over Fortnite. But the possibility of you getting charged $90 games, oh no, man, and y'all justifying this shit on Twitter. Like, what the fuck? What are we doing? And again, you can make arguments because of the cost of making games and because of inflation that games should be higher. But you can have that realization that the arguments exist, but at the same time, not forego your rights as a consumer and tell these fucking companies, or I don't want to say your rights, but your best interest of a consumer, and tell these companies, yeah, it's okay for you to raise prices multiple times in a generation. Y'all don't have enough acumen and understanding to know how bad that's going to be and what type of precedent is going to be set because of that. If anything, PlayStation might not be perfect. Absolutely. We argue that shit here all the time. But I love what they've done compared to Nintendo. Listen, we know where our bread is buttered. Our bread is buttered in the US and Europe, or in North America and Europe.
Most. Mm-hmm. Imagine Sony announced that a pro upgrade is gonna cost you another $10.
Bro, $90. Yeah, you're gonna get a $90 pro upgrade.
Oh my God. Bro, they would probably go with pitchforks and Molotov cocktails to Sony HQ, bro.
Bruh. Come on now. So here's the thing. So the PlayStation 5 Pro is $250 higher than its base unit. So if we do the math, so that's it. So after 8.5 games, if they would, okay, let me put it like this. If you divide $30, the price of a PlayStation, a Nintendo Switch upgrade, $30. If you divide that into the extra $250 medium, that's 8.5 games. So after 8.5 games on the Switch 2, right? You guys are paying PlayStation 5 Pro prices if you get them upgraded. If you upgrade 8 games, simply 8 games, not even 10, 8 games. You just upgrade 8 games. That's not factoring in the difference that you're paying from this, for any other games that come out on Switch 2. I would rather, in this instance, be charged in the price of the unit than have you touch the games. But can you, and I'm not saying either one is good, I'm just saying what I'd rather do. And that's helping to underscore the hypocrisy in this. The worser option would be to charge $450, and now cold blood, this motherfucker be $600. You're trying to tell me that a Switch 2 is going to be worth $600, and you got to pay $30 for upgrades, and that's a better scenario than a PlayStation 5 Pro? I bet not here. I will literally pay for motherfuckers to come out there and grab you up, throw you in the back of a van, take you to a hospital, and get you a CAT scan. That's the biggest thing to me, is the whole anti-consumer approach outside of Japan to this. And again, I've nothing against, y'all know I love Asian culture. I nothing against Japan at all. Nothing against them. This is about Nintendo. I understand why they want to be nativists and say thank you to their countrymen and say, you know what? This thing is big here. You guys support us a lot. We want to do something special and keep prices low, lower than elsewhere here. But too many things have happened in Japan for the price to be this low. The yen went up. You understand? Let me give you guys an example. You know how when we was growing up back in the 90s, you go to a store and grab a little Debbie snack cake for 25 cents. The same Debbie snack cakes that right now cost you like $2 and shit, $2.50. They used to be 25 cents when I was growing up. Go grab you a Debbie snack cake in a bag. You would have $1. You would be able to buy a little Debbie snack cake, a bag of potato chips, and buy you a pop for $1. We used to do it every day. Get $1, or you have two. Oh, you had $2. Oh my God, you were gonna have a sugar rush, sodium attack. And over time, because of inflation, because we raise interest rates and we try to keep our currency competitive, that 25 cents, that item that cost 25 cents is now inflated to $2. Okay, it's now $2 for this same snack cake. During that same period, Japan never raised its prices. So up until 2024 or 2024, that if you were in Japan, if they sold Debbie snack cakes, that same Debbie snack cake for over 30 years would still be 25 cents. Then Japan said, okay, we got to change our strategy. Because what they did, and the reason why they did that is because a lot of their trade, as far as technology was concerned, happened outside of Japan. Or happened outside of Asia. Semiconductors, all this other shit. So they relied on the West for a lot of that stuff. A lot of that stuff wasn't internally made. So they would create cheap goods here and create cheap goods in Asia, ship them over to the West, and the West would trade them, with technology and all that other stuff. A lot of technology was made outside of Asia. But then the technology started being made within Asia too. And a lot of the stuff that they need, they didn't really have to import outside of Asia anymore. So then they decided, you know what? Fuck that. We don't need to keep our interest rates low anymore. And another reason why they was doing it is because they got a whole bunch of investment in the West. People in the West would go get a whole bunch of yen and use the low cost of the yen to pay off debt. And they would end up paying, like, you know what I'm saying? It was like a big, like, crazy ass game they would play. You got to watch Bloomberg's video on that. It's harder for me to explain. But that was the lure of investing in Japan for years, for decades. And Japan said, we don't need the West like that anymore. Or Asia in general, we don't need the West like that anymore. We no longer need to be lucrative that way for you to buy up cheap yen to pay off your debt. So they raised the price, the interest rates first time in 30 years. They used to have negative interest rates in Japan. They raised the interest rates for the first, because now they want the yen to be competitive to everybody else. That then inflated the price of things, and that's why Sony had to raise the price of the PlayStation, because now the yen no longer had the value that it had when people would buy it in bulk. It's now more expensive, so it loses its luster. So the only way for PlayStation to keep up with the yen losing its luster is now they got to raise the price to meet the medium across the board. All these Japanese companies had to do it because all of them were hit when the Bank of Japan decided to do this. Nintendo was like one of the only few companies that are like, nah, we're going to keep prices the same. You can't do that and survive unless it's paid for somewhere else. Guess who's paying for it when it comes to Nintendo products? Guess who's paying for it? You are. And then to add insult to injury, people like my brother Coldblood, he's now paying for tariffs too. That ain't got nothing to do. But don't get me wrong. Tariffs have a rippling effect, but not as much as he's being charged for it. This is a U.S. Japan thing for the most part. Why is his increase currency-wise is on par with me? It may not be the same price, but when you look at the value of the currencies, it's on par. I didn't even realize, Coldblood helped me realize that this weekend because we were going back and forth over what was going on. And he was like, no, the currency of this is here. And I looked at it and said, hold on. Because I never knew that Nintendo would have the gall to enforce the currency hike outside of the US at this rate. I knew there would be price increases, but I didn't figure it would be the same. It's the same across the board. Meanwhile, based upon everything that is going, these prices are extremely low in Japan. You're paying for this. You're paying for this. Shout out, we got my brother, Chariot Man Gaming. He says, what's going on in M2K? Let's go. Nintendo. He says, I got videos on Switch 2 as well. I can't wait. Yeah, I was in the boat with you, Chariot Man Gaming, but these prices, yeah, they hurt my soul, man. And it just, from a consumer standpoint, I don't like how they decided to deal with the complications that they're dealing with. I don't like how they did it. At Coldblood, did you punch any holes in the wall while screaming profane language at Nintendo? Says Jenna Hayes.
No, not really. I was just laughing my ass off.
High on Life says, my problem isn't $80 games. It's that Nintendo was one that started it. It should have been Sony because their tentpole titles are worth that or more. I have a problem with anybody high on life raising it again. This generation was already raised. So that's it. You gotta wait till next gen. But I do agree with you that if anybody was going to raise it, it shouldn't have been Nintendo. Because what that does is that sets off a powder keg. That sets off a powder keg to everybody. Because everybody's going to look and say, well, hold on. You think that this game is worth 80 just because it's really fun? Well, we think our games are fun too. And what they'll do is they'll release their games significantly higher than what they should be. And as the market responds to them, they'll just adjust accordingly. But everybody will try it now. They'll be like, oh, well, if that's going to be the standard, then we're going to do it too. That's the problem. Because Nintendo's doing it. Nintendo's basing it off of fun factor, which is something subjective. So everybody's going to sit there and respond. Y'all got to understand how the market works. People are going to say, and their investors are going to say, well, if you're making a game, didn't you tell us that your game is fun? Right? Like, I'm an investor. Imagine this. I'm a company, rather. Y'all in Coldblood are all investors. Because y'all want to get the biggest dollar, bang for your buck. For every dollar that you invest in me, you want 20, 30 cents back along with the dollar. So y'all say to me, hold on. this Nintendo game over here is now going to be $80. Y'all still coming out at $70? Yeah, we coming out at $70. Why are y'all coming out at $70? Well, it's Nintendo, but hold on. Y'all are using more technology than them. We know this. Y'all using more technology. And didn't y'all tell us that your game is fun too? Yeah, that's what y'all sold us on. Well, yeah, well, if your game is fun and their game is fun, why isn't your game $80? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because if it sounds like and this is what the investors are saying. It sounds like to me that you don't think that your game can stand on par with theirs. If that's the case, I'll pull my money out and I'll go somewhere else. Oh, no, you ain't got to do that. You ain't got to do that. I got you. We're going to try $80. We'll see how it goes. Okay, that's more like it. At least give it a shot. That's how it works. That's how these conversations work. It's like, whoa. If the rest of the market is doing this and you're telling you convinced me by saying that you got this great product here, so if the product is actually great like you say it is, why won't you charge $80? Well, that's Nintendo. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna take my dollar over to Nintendo. Oh, wait. On second thought, you know what I'm saying? That's how this shit works. These other companies are not gonna sit idly by and just say, "Well, that's Nintendo." They won't get investors that way. Because if you're saying, "Well, that's Nintendo," you're telling the investors to just go over there. The average pull and the punch for a lot of these companies, just like Pokemon and just like this, we have a game that'll do this and we project that it'll do great, just like Mario. They use them as a barometer to say, hey, our shit is just as good and it'll catch on fire like theirs. That's how they sell their games. So you can't use that to pull in investors, and then when it's time to put the price out there, you're like, well, that's Nintendo. Well, no. You used the Nintendo-esque of your game to will me in. So if it's going to be that great, then why ain't you charging what they charging? Play Beyond says those upgraded physical versions are just Switch 1 copies inside with a download code for the other. Yeah. Shout out to Porter Rock, because I had briefly saw something that he had put out there on Twitter. And I will say this too, because I'm looking out for the consumers. Fuck Nintendo. I'm not looking out for them. I mean, again, they got enough people on their side. I get the business impetus of having to do something. I will not agree and say, oh, they didn't have to do none of this. No, I get the business degree that they had to do something. But what they're doing, I used this description before. It would be like, say for instance, you got a cockroach infestation in your house. You got, you could do the right thing and say, oh, okay, I'm just going to have, it's going to cost me some money. I'm going to have to go call an exterminator and have them go through my home and get rid of the cockroaches. It's going to cost me a few $100s, but I get to keep my home. Everything will be great. Or you could say, well, you know what? I don't feel like spending more than $5 on this problem. Let me go get a canister of gasoline for about $4. Let me buy a pack of matches for $1. I'm just going to spread this gasoline all over the house and burn down the house. I feel like that Nintendo was doing the latter with how they handled this. They had legitimate problems, cockroach infestation, but instead of handling this appropriately and making the proper investments into doing so, they're going at it haphazardly and burning down the house. That's my theory. I could be wrong, and I know a lot of Nintendo fans are listening to this, and y'all curling your lips and biting the blood out of your lips and gums, and I could be wrong. But number one, I recognize what's going on, so therefore, two, I cannot advocate for it. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I think they're hurting their brand too. Because this is all everybody's talking about. $80 and $90 games are not acceptable to me. And especially not from Nintendo. I'm sorry. And I wanted the system bad. Cold Blood will tell you I wanted it bad. So not only this, Cold Blood, what do you think? Not just the games, but there is the fact of the hardware. What effect do you think this is going to have on hardware? Because there was something from the game business, which to me is all this Signal Y. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. This is the Signal Y. Maybe I should read this first and then get your thoughts on this. Read this too. See. See. Let me see. Because I get that the tariffs are playing a huge role in this, but I don't want people to lose sight of it's not just about the tariffs. It's about the reaction to the tariffs. We have two totally different companies that are faced with these tariffs that are doing two totally different things. Hold on, where is? Oh man, Christopher Dring. Let me find Christopher Dring's. I think Christopher Dring is the one. Shout out to Chris Dring for this too. I really like this gaming business. I subscribe to it on Substack. If I can find it. No, I can't find it. Fuck. Damn it. So anyway, there was a tweet that was put out there. I thought it was by Christopher Dream. Oh, hold on. This isn't it, but this is close enough. Here, let me show you guys this. So he said, I had a chat with Games MD about the fact physical games or more expensive digital games also share data that reveals third-party games are now selling more on Switch than first-party games, right? And he said, now I will say this. People are looking at Cyberpunk 2077. I can come down the middle on this and look at this objectively. Because to understand the business and understand how we got to fight back on this, you got to understand what to argue for, not what to go overboard on. Cyberpunk 2077. I know people look at that and they're like, $70. See, that's that Nintendo, right? Nintendo doesn't set the price for that. That's all CD Projekt Red. Here's why. And again, this is why I'm glad I went through the whole thing with Stadia. Because I learned this from talking to AAA developers at Stadia. When it comes to a new product, even though the history of said product is great, you never know. This is a business. We got to understand this is a business. So whenever it comes to a new product, regardless of what the other versions of it were in the past, when it comes to old games being ported to a new product, the publisher always is gung-ho about going and setting it at full price. They're like, this is going to be full price because this is a new, unproven product. Even if it's a game that came out earlier elsewhere. It's a new, unproven product. We got to go through the development and the porting to add this to the Switch 2. And I bet you CD Projekt Red tried to pull every bell and whistle they could to even get 40 frames per second, right? That's because that's an odd ass number to go anyway. But to get 40 frames on the device, they tried to do everything that they could, right? they're going to charge full price for that because it's new to a new platform. It's different. Now, if Cyberpunk was coming out on Switch 1, an already proven product with a shit ton of consumers, it's not going to be $70. Or let's just say if this was coming to Switch after they already had 115 million pre-orders, right? Then the product is proven, they would lower their price. But because it's not a proven product, it's no guarantee it's going to succeed. They're going to charge $70. How do I know this? Because in talking to developers with Stadia, a lot of us were upset at Stadia, me included at first, why these games were coming full price. It wasn't until I talked to the developers I understood why the price was the way that it was. The developers and the publishers set that price. Stadia didn't set that price. The publishers did. So if you see $70 games or $70 ports of old ass games to Nintendo Switch 2, that part is being done by the publisher. You got to talk to CD Projekt Red about that one. So just to come down the middle, so we're aware of that. But here's what I wanted to show you from the game business. This is featuring guest host Lucy James Games. It's our Switch 2 special. We chat about game, physical price, and we analyze whether anyone actually buys third party. But also in discussion, I believe they talk about how other publishers came out and started clapping like baby seals because Nintendo was doing this. They were like, woohoo! Yeah, that's right, because prices should go up. These prices should go up. Do you see what I'm saying? Motherfucking developers came out and they clapped for this shit. They weren't just like, well, it's no big deal. They didn't say, you know what, we'll see how the product does. While you motherfuckers were outraged, they came out and said, woohoo! They clapped for this shit. This is why I'm telling you, stop being a nut guzzler. Stop being a nut towel for these companies. They got enough people on their side. They have enough people on their side. Stop bearing it all on your chin for them. They got enough people on your side while the outrage and people were going through the quote unquote trauma of being excited for the Switch 2 reveal, but then seeing the prices. These motherfuckers had the audacity to come out. Woohoo! Yay! We need, in other words, fuck that we just raised prices on you motherfuckers. We should do it again this generation. They're not on your side. Again, arguments can be made that maybe the price of games are too low for some games, not all, some games. But that's just a debate of exercise for next gen at the very least, or at the most rather. The price was already increased. It is what it is. Deal with it. And adjust appropriately next time, which is next gen. These motherfuckers came out at the news of this and they cheered on $90 games. They already have enough people on their side. They don't need you. Come over here with us where you belong. The consumer. I'm sorry, you gotta pick a side. You have to pick a side. You can't try to weave this out of two lanes. Either you advocate for the consumer, and you can do that understanding business needs. Like I just laid it out for you. I did it understanding, but you either advocate for the consumer or you advocate for the business. can be reasonable about it, but you can't advocate. You can't be an advocate. You can't do that for both. Scoop says $10 is too much for an upgrade. The media was all over these influencers and fanboys. Keep that same energy, motherfuckers. Yeah, I mean that's a reasonable argument as well. I mean the hypocrites are coming out, as Cold Blood said. But more importantly, even if you're not concerned with that, like how this affects you as a consumer. And they showed you guys day one. Like these cat, literally, Chris String has this up in the game business. They came out and they clapped. Yay! Yay, Nintendo! $90 games, that's right. Give it to them, suck it to them. And y'all sitting there, yeah, suck it to me, take my money. But you don't realize you're saying take my money everywhere. Because y'all don't understand how this works. Nobody's gonna sit there and say, they can get away with that because they're Nintendo. Everybody's going to say, well, we're going to try. And I don't want $90 game. I simply don't. Okay, but yeah, Cold Blood, my question for you is, what do you, because Nintendo's getting away with this shit, what do you think this is going to do to our consoles now? You think they're gonna try some shit with the consoles next time around, or what?
What you think is gonna stay $500?
No, not consoles? That, but you think they're going to? There's just talks that the shit might go up to 1,000.
If a console goes to $1,000, what do you expect is gonna happen?
I don't know.
If the damn Pro can sell that much right now at 700.
Yeah.
Like you literally, like I said, you want to see a dead body at that point, which would be in that case Sony and PlayStation. No, I mean they can try. I always say that they can try, and then you gotta see how you fucked around and found out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I always told you that, Moss. That was always my stance. Like, try shit, but if you fuck around and find out, don't cry about it later.
Mm-hmm.
Because people told you more than enough that $70 games is the absolute ceiling, in my opinion, and many people's opinion. It should stay that way for a long time now. Going over that is being an absolute asshat, not understanding that most people don't want to buy your fucking game even at $70, let alone $80. Same with the fucking console. Go over $500 and see what happens. It's gonna be dead in the water, bruh. Like everybody's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna stay on my PS5. And then the most absolute fanboys, the worst of the worst. They're the only ones that gonna try to convince you, $1,000 is okay because we get good hardware in it.
That's true.
They are going to be the only ones buying the motherfucker at launch.
That is true. Yeah, they're just going to stay with their old consoles, and then
most people going to stay on the PS5, and then after half the generation, everybody was going to be like, "Why didn't you upgrade yet? What's going on? Why are we still getting cross-gen games? What's going on?"
Yeah. Yep. That is true. You're not lying. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Yeah, yeah, people are going to stay on their old platforms at worst, which I don't think would work. They would sit there and probably make upgraded versions of the game that you can play via the cloud if you want to do that. But yeah, but they're still going to be hamstrung because, again, they got to be cross-gen, so they got to factor in the old technology. Yeah. And you might run into a scenario, Cold Blood, to where instead of you, when you develop a game on console, which this would be shitty as fuck. This is why y'all got to speak up now and forever hold your peace. You might run into a situation where game developers might say, well, or gamers might say, when the PlayStation 7 comes out, if PlayStation 6 is $1,000, for instance, motherfuckers might not upgrade still. By the time the PlayStation 7 comes out, they still on the PlayStation 5. You know what I'm saying? So now developers got to factor in not just the 6, but the 5 as well. Because if games are $1,000 and this is the medium that they wanted to be in, well, the least they're going to drop down to is $700, and motherfuckers ain't going to buy it. Still. They still ain't going to buy it. So, and I don't think you guys want games that are cross-gen over 3 generations. We're getting all antsy in the pants over 2 generations, but 3? Like it'll be like PC with multiple SKUs and shit. Yeah. You know, you'll start running into those situations where, yeah, games are heavily held back because people are like, I'm not going past, you know. And at best, what they'll probably do is they're like, well, I'll get the PlayStation 7 version, which will be $90, and I'll play it on the cloud. That's for the people that want to do that. Which
if they want, bro, if they want the PS5 to be the Series S of the PlayStation 6, mm-hmm. they're gonna make the PS6 $1,000.
Yeah.
Make sure there's almost no incentive to upgrade.
Yeah, you guys better speak up now and don't sit there and say, oh, they would never do this. Oh, or if they do it, I would understand. You guys think I be doing all this yelling and shit. Well, a lot of it is show, but y'all think I'm doing this yelling and shit because I'm just being paranoid. I'm telling you how these companies work. I'm telling you how they think. They don't care about you. You are fertilizer to grass. Say if you own a golf course, in order to attract the golfer, they got to have crisp, green, fresh looking grass, right? You're just the fertilizer to that. Because the real commodity is the golfer. So you're just fertilizer for the grass to attract the golfer. That's what you are to PlayStation and Xbox and Nintendo. You're fertilizer to attract investors. Why? Because they want to show investors, oh, we got to look at this. We got these lush sales. We have these lush products that are being bought up. Oh, don't you want to invest in us? Oh. That's the real prize, is the investor. Says Square as well. We don't do exclusives anymore yet. I don't see Bravely Default on other systems. Laugh out loud. Yeah, the Square Enix is, they gonna fuck around and find out. Number one, Square is not that good with parallel development. So them trying to make games that are going to release everywhere, they're just going to make undesirable games at launch. That if they would have here's what Square needs to do. If Square really needs there to be, because they already have the formula, they're just dumb, they're stupid. What Square should do is, if they really need like 5, 6, or 7 million sales, like if the money that PlayStation gives them to create a game, if that isn't enough for them, and they really got to have these super strong sales with all their games, okay, then don't release the game until there's a bunch of consoles out. Of PlayStations, that is. Because that's where the bulk of your consumer base is. The bulk of your consumer base is on PlayStation. There's a reason why Final Fantasy VII Remake probably sold better than Rebirth. Why is there a reason? Because by the time they release Remake, there's a shitload of PlayStation 4s out there. Maybe you should wait until there were a shitload of PlayStations out there. Maybe you should have sold it when there was like 80 million PlayStations out there at least. You know this, but this is what their execs get paid to do. So if their execs are too stupid and they just want to hurry up and take a check from Sony, that's not Sony's fault. That's not the Sony consumer fault. Most of their clientele is still on PlayStation 4s. They just haven't converted over yet. The people that bought PlayStation 5s at the point that it came out with, they weren't buying them, or they weren't Final Fantasy consumers. They were still apparently on PlayStation 4. I mean, from all intents and purposes, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I don't know, Coldblood can tell you better than that. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth looks so more robust and had more offering to it than the remake to me, the first one, Integrate. I don't know, I could be wrong. To where
way more.
Yeah. I mean, why? It's just that Square Enix has a certain consumer, and that certain consumer was still on the PlayStation 4. That's a Square Enix problem. That isn't. It's not Sony's fault. He says, Juice says, the fact that we have to tell people to speak up about this shows me we are. Yeah, absolutely. Juice. Like, if y'all join our Discord, you'll see all types of opinions about this in our Discord. Matter of fact, let me put a link to the Discord. Y'all see all types of opinions, but nobody says no matter where we're coming from, nobody says, oh yeah, this price is justified. Or not that I've seen. Nobody's like, yeah, man, yeah, this is great. This is awesome. $90 games. Woohoo! Nobody's doing that because we're consumers. We're not dumbasses. Here, I'm gonna put this in the chat. Join us at MM2K Gaming Discord. MM2K Gaming Discord. Yeah, there's been a bunch of discussion about this. And let me pin that too. We've had a shit ton of discussion on that. And a lot of us come at different angles on this, but nobody is saying this is good. Some people are saying, I understand where it's coming from. I can justify, you know what I mean? Where I'm at, like, I see why they wanted to do something. I just think it's very risky. But my biggest issue is beyond the price of the unit. My biggest issue is, who the fuck do you think you are charging $90 games? You don't have that. You're not providing anything that excuses you raising the price medium ceiling even higher. Or not the price medium ceiling, that's an oxymoron. The price ceiling even higher. Maybe Square doesn't release a game with a performance I had to spend an extra $700. That is true. That's another issue too. Like, and that compounds my point, Juice, that okay, so there may have been some people that were in the market for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but when they saw the performance mode, they were like, I'll wait until this gets better. So you have that problem, but you think you're going to do better. And you had that problem developing for one platform, but you think you're going to do better developing for 4 platforms, maybe even 5 at the same time. Yeah, I don't know who's running Square Enix. I don't, it's just, if you have stock in Square, speaking of finance, I would take it out. Move it somewhere else. These people running a lot of these people running these companies, man, I wonder, like, shit, I know I could do a better job. I mean, so anyway, so that's my thoughts on Nintendo. Cold Blood, did you have any final thoughts about this before we go to our favorite topic, South to Midnight, and close out? Did I lose Cold Blood? Oh no, he's muted. Okay, so we're gonna move to South to Midnight.
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead. Where were you? Did you have any final thoughts on Nintendo? When are you picking yours up?
First of all, I want to know how much the Switch actually is gonna cost. not this fake price to hype people up.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, what is the release window looking like? We have almost no game announced so far.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, we got the From Software game, but that looked rough. It looked really rough. What else is there? What can we expect in the next 2 years? Like, and maybe they still gonna decide it was too much and gonna lower the price actually.
Mm-hmm. Of the games, yeah.
This gonna decide if I get it earlier or later.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the prices stay like this, I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah.
There's no rush to get a damn Switch right now.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah, I'm in the same camp. I was gonna be. I mean, I don't know if I was gonna get a day one, but I was like, yeah, I'm picking it up. Just don't know when. But no, I don't have any. I don't anticipate picking it up anytime soon. I want to see, number one, what the final price of the unit is, which I'm heavily suspecting it's going to be at least $500. Might be more, might be $600, right? And then, last but not least, I'm like Cold Blood. I'm looking to see if they backtrack on the price of these games, because the price of the console is one thing, but the price of the games, especially compared to what you're doing in Japan, is another. And that to me is like, that's the ultimate kick in the teeth. As your number one and number two markets, you want to pull this shit? Nah, I can't, and I have a lot of respect for, what the Japanese economy is trying to do. And I get it. I can like be fair and look at them, but no, Nintendo's taking a step too far. They're taking a step too far, and I can't justify it. Until we get something more reasonable on the price of the unit, and definitely their approach to games overall, I'm just not in the market for it. I'm not completely closing the door yet, but I'm not in the market for it. Not right now. The bigger question is, okay, that's us. How about the other people that they're going to need to buy this thing? How's that going to work out? We'll soon see. But I just don't know how you succeed in doing this to your number one and your number two markets. I don't know how you do it. All right. With that said, let's move on. Let's talk about Cold Blood's other favorite, which is South of Midnight. I haven't played the game.
I don't even know what to talk about with this game. I did not play it. I did not watch anything about it.
Well,
all I see is it's super mid. That's what I see.
That's what I want to talk about. Yeah, that's all I know too is super mid. There's, but there's a very interesting clip. you know, I got some clips, man. Very interesting clip
from Cold Eastwood.
No, I didn't see Cold Eastwood's clip. The clip I got is from Oliver Darko with your favorite creator.
Broomstick?
Yep.
Oh yeah, baby.
Oh shit. Hold on. Where's that? Uh-oh. I thought I had it. I thought I had a bookmark. Oh man. I thought I had a bookmark. Uh-oh. Hold on, let me check here. I thought I had a bookmark.
But can we be honest and say a first party title launched and everybody only gives a fuck about Nintendo still?
Yes.
That is insane. I think with PlayStation it could never happen, bro. They would make sure the narrative changes.
Yep. Not at all. Like nobody cared and shit. Nobody cared. Why did I not bookmark this? Oh shit. Damn it. Hold on. I thought I had this. Okay, here it goes. Found it. So your boy Boomstick is not happy with the score. He's not happy with the score that South of Midnight has received. He says that if South of Midnight was a Nintendo game, it would have got 10 out of 10. But let's hear, I believe, if my memory serves me right, mid-clip, he says it should have been 10 out of 10 while he's telling you what the fuck is wrong with the game, right? So,
but because this is an Xbox exclusive.
Okay, hold on. All right, can y'all hear that? Hold on.
Exclusive, because it's a smaller.
Yeah, y'all can't hear that. Okay. So let's hear what Boomstick has to say, and then we'll talk about it on the back end. Let me pause the music, and here we go.
But you're absolutely right. There is an Xbox tax that is once again blatant. I know people are going to be boo, boom, you're capping, you're Xbotting. No, I'm not. I'm being absolutely honest because I am here to tell you, and if you disagree with me, that is fine. You are not getting me off this hill. If this is a PlayStation exclusive, if this is a PlayStation 5 exclusive, you are going to have people creaming themselves to play this game and give it a 10 out of 10. I'm sorry to be graphic, but that is the effing reality. But because this is an Xbox exclusive, because it's a smaller studio that punched way above their weight, you're going to get people to give it. Like, for instance, the most disappointing for me was VGC. They gave this game a 6. I don't know what game that they played, but this is not a 6. And I don't understand how it got to be a 6, but it is what it is. I don't really care about anyone else's score. What I can do to you as a fellow gamer is say, please play this game. And if you have it on Game Pass, you can play it on the 8th for your service fee. And I guarantee you that even if you think the game is not worth it, you're going to find something in this game that you're going to be like, wow, whether it be the graphics, the sound, the voice acting, the characters, whatever. It's all it all comes together in what I believe to be an important piece of gaming. You don't feel that way, I'm not going to hate you. I'm not going to say anything negative about you, but you're not going to get me to move off of 9 of this game. And I gave plenty of cons, but plenty of pros as well. But again, sorry for the rant, folks, but yeah, I just think that this gaming industry is just ultimately a lot of the journalists, and I use that term loosely, are disgusting. Because there are times where you can look past someone's gameplay being basic and give a score. And I'm not saying to overlook it. You can make mention of it, but there's nothing about this game that's broken. That's where
I had to stop it there. This is 4 minutes long.
So wait. Nothing about this game is broken, right?
Yeah, nothing's broken.
How does that relate to a 10 out of 10?
Because it's not broken.
Tetris is not broken.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't get a 10 out of 10.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is he talking about? This game got a 77 on Meta. Like,
Yeah,
shouldn't you be fucking happy?
Yeah.
It's in the fucking green still.
Bro.
For the amount of critique I saw about the game, it didn't sound like a 77 to me.
Yeah.
It sounded more like a 6.
Yeah, like a 6. Bro, these bugs is crazy, man. Oh, shoot. He said, no, you can overlook, call me a boob. You know, call me a boob. You can say what you want. You can say, hey, look, the gameplay is mediocre. There you have it. There you have it. It's a game. The gameplay is mediocre. To me, that's just, yeah, like you said, that you drop it down to a 6. But they gave it a 77. The atmospherics, nobody cares. I'm not watching a movie. That's the cutscenes. I'm playing a game. I don't care about the vibe. Okay,
that's actually that's where the game was broken.
Yeah,
by a lot of these. If I go by a lot of these reviews, because it's the same type of enemy almost from start to finish.
Yeah. Like,
the combat is super basic. The only thing they all kind of praise, I guess, is the story and the voice acting. But since when do we praise voice acting like that?
You know
like,
what I mean?
It should be expected at this point that voice acting is top notch.
Yeah.
Like we are not in the 90s anymore. where you had voice actors that could have been just picked from the street, bro.
Yeah.
Literally.
But in that case, Cold Blood, why isn't Hellblade 2 a 9 or 10? Right? Is that broken?
Because, bro, it's not broken. It's just a fucking boring mess.
Thank you. The atmospherics, I mean, or I guess the game, the games looks great, right?
And yeah, that's where it ends.
Yeah. Look, if you create a game, the game has to be fun. I don't care about all those other preliminary, the vibe. I'm not in no fucking club sucking on a hookah. I don't care about the vibe. I'm playing a game. The gameplay loop has to be fun. If the gameplay loop ain't fun, to me, that's a 6. They were more, and I think there's an Xbox. There's not an Xbox tax. There's a what do you call that shit? Oh, not tax when you there's an Xbox surplus. Not a fucking tax, it's a surplus. If you're telling me that the gameplay is mediocre, why is it above a 7? This game got it, like you said, a 77. Look about no atmospherics. Okay, then make this into a short video, a commercial, or you know, Xbox Presents. Put this on Netflix or something like that. I don't care about the damn vibe.
Actually, why is there no? Sorry, why is there no user score for this game?
Oh, you know why? Because I don't think it's officially out yet.
Oh, it's early access. Okay.
Yeah, it's early access. Yeah, I don't think it's officially out yet.
Well, damn, they were confident then with the review embargo. That shit ain't even out yet.
Yeah.
Wasn't the score already done like 2 or 3 days ago?
Yep.
Well, I can't give them at least credit. They didn't try to hide the review scores.
Yeah.
Till launch.
They knew what they had to, they knew what they were dealing with. And trust me, they're probably happy as hell with this 77 because it's Game Pass fodder. It's Game Pass fodder. They knew what they were dealing with. And then look, on top of it, bro, even Boomstick said they punched over their weight. Like even, you know, they tried to go big and it fell flat, but at least they tried. Like even they knew they were biting off more than they could chew. And, you know, and all that atmospherics and the presentation, all that stuff could be great, but it has to translate into good gameplay loop. If you don't have a good gameplay loop, then you don't have a good game. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I mean, what do y'all want us to do? What do y'all want from us? I'm sick. I'm sick to my stomach because I think the game reviewers are sick. I mean, yeah, they're sick in a lot of ways, but not because of this. Yeah, no, they are sick because of this. Because this doesn't look like a 77 to me. You cannot justify. I'm sorry. And then I bet you, how much does this game retail for? Don't tell me this shit. Piece of shit.
No, it's not 70. It shouldn't be 70.
Okay, good. Well, none of Xbox's games should be 70, but that's a different thing. If I'm being honest with you.
You said that now.
Yeah.
You said that now.
Don't get me started on them, man. Don't get me. None of their games should be 70. The last game that should have been 70, I don't know. Was it a 360 game, maybe? I don't know. None of their games should be 70. Maybe Forza Horizon 5. I don't know. But I mean, I look. Their games. You know, if you're gonna do all this, let's see how much it retails for. So how much is South of Midnight?
$40, I guess. At least that's the Steam price. It's $40.
Oh, it's $40. Oh, okay. All right. Well, that and all Xbox games should be $40.
Well, probably on Xbox it's 50 if you don't have Game Pass.
No, you know what? You're right. Hold on. Let me see here. No, I think all Xbox games, opposite of Call of Duty, and I'm not saying that like I'm some Call of Duty fan, but opposite of Call of Duty, I think all Xbox games should be $40, maybe $50. Like a value. Yeah, no, it's 50. Hold on. Pre-order South of Midnight. Oh, no. I don't get this. Hold on. It says pre-order South of Midnight. It says, so I can pre-order it for 40. Okay, yeah, it's 40. It is 40. It's $39.99. And I can get the premium edition for $49.99. But if I have Game Pass, or I can get an upgrade edition for 10, it's 9 with Game Pass. This is what I think all Xbox games should be at, opposite of Call of Duty, maybe the next Gears. I'm confident that the next Gears might be AAA. Now, will it be a good AAA game? I don't know, but it'll be AAA. And Forza, you know, even though, you know, okay, outside of those 3 games, like this should have been the price for Avowed. This should have been the price for Indiana Jones. I mean, I think Xbox games would do better if these were the prices. But yeah, it actually doesn't come out till Tuesday. It's $40. I think Xbox games are better served when they do that. South of midnight. I just wanted to touch on that because I was hearing people. I kept hearing this thing, vibe. I'm not at some fucking discotheque. You know, sucking on a fucking hookah. I don't care about no fucking vibe. I want a game. You know what I mean? It's like, God, hey, Cole, I don't know, man. Maybe I know I got to take a chill pill, but where do these people come from? It's a vibe. Who cares? Oh, we're paying $40, $50 for a vibe? For a vibe. That's what we're paying? Like, come on now. Let's stop this. Let's stop being goofy. I want a fucking game. I want a good game. And if the gameplay loop ain't good, then okay. Then that's 70, that's sub 70 territory to me. I don't care how well everything else is. Who gives a fuck? Like, Hellblade. Phenomenal vibe, right? Great graphics. And all that shit. Gameplay was horrible. It sucked. Let's see here. Is it even in popular releases or is it top sellers? I don't even see it. Popular. Well, it's not out yet, but sales. I don't. Sports. I don't even see it. Most played.
Damn. Show them this, bro.
Trying to find top sellers. Sounds mid. Oh. Let me see. Let's play this. I just hate where we're going with this shit, man. So many different agendas out here. Like, I want a good game.
This is, brother, this is the king of them speaking about this game, yeah?
See. All right, B2. Switch this up. Here we go.
But the gameplay was so repetitive that once you've seen the first couple of chapters, they're going to make you do that again with a slightly different backdrop. Mostly what you're seeing today is me running in that linear world or fighting in those small and close combat arenas that are all mostly the same, because if you end up playing this game, you're going to want to discover that stuff for yourself. There were so many glaring things that kept a low score for me. I score it at about a 7. I gave it a 69 when I calculated everything out, and I'm lower than normal because, like I said, the game is a 78 on Metacritic. But I hope next time Compulsion makes something even better, because there were obvious things that they should have done to make this game really, really awesome. But the gameplay was so repetitive that once you've seen the first couple of chapters, they're going to make you do that.
I didn't even get, yeah. I mean,
it's the king of bots telling you that this game is mid.
I think that's fair.
What are you doing?
It's more than fair.
Yeah, to you.
More than fair.
Do do
Oh,
do do
Hold on,
do
what the
do
hell is
do
that?
do.
What the fuck?
Do, do,
What you playing?
do.
I have no idea what this is.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Oh, okay. Holy shit. That scared the hell out. I was like, what the fuck is that? Why is it doing that? That's weird. Okay, I accidentally clicked on somebody was streaming on Twitter, and I accidentally clicked on that. But yeah, man, I think that's fair. I think it's more than fair. I mean,
No, but what does it say about Xbox right now, boss?
yeah. Well, it's not saying anything that we didn't already know. Like even you talked about what Matt Booty said. I want to make AAA game. I want to make AA games with AAA polish. And here you have it. I think the problem is that they were trying to sell you AA games with AAA polish at a AAA price. And I don't think that any of the Xbox games that we've seen outside of maybe a Forza and a Gears, okay, maybe Starfield 2, whatever, just wasn't a good AAA game, if you want to call it, well, yes, whatever. It wasn't a good AAA game, but outside of Forza and Starfield, I can't tell you the last time Xbox has made a AAA game that was worth $70. It definitely wasn't Redfall. And they had the audacity to charge $70 for that. It definitely wasn't Avowed. And they had the audacity to charge you $70 for that. And I'm sorry, it definitely wasn't Indiana Jones. And they had the audacity to charge you $70 for that. Why did they do that? Because they felt like it had AAA polish. So maybe Xbox learned their lesson and realized that their games are only worth XYZ. And they charge for them appropriately. I think this is a right price. I think at most, these Xbox games that are coming out under Matt Booty and with the AAA polish, at most $50. And maybe there's cold blood. Maybe there's a market for that. Maybe for these $50 games, maybe $60 for the deluxe edition. You get it, maybe they can do that. And maybe there's a market for it, and that's fine. But,
yeah, most there is actually. It's called Asia.
Yeah.
Them motherfuckers are the only ones that are making games at 60 that are worth exactly that price.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the thing is, we as consumers, man, we gotta speak up against this shit. We can't let this shit fly and then bitch about it later. When you had an opportunity to stop this, to stop a lot of this shit, you should have spoke up about it. And oh, what are we going to do? The same shit y'all did for Fortnite. The same thing, because here was my argument over Fortnite. I said, look, PlayStation was the number one developer out there. And if you want to play with PlayStation, not number one developer, they're the number one platform. So if you want to play with PlayStation people, you get you a PlayStation. I said this while I was still advocating for Xbox, and people were mad at me. I'm like, if you want to play with PlayStation people so bad, go get a fucking PlayStation. I'm not mad at PlayStation for that. And people were like, no, it's a free to play game. It should be cross-gen. And okay, and y'all won the argument. Fine. But if y'all can sit there and get y'all panties in a bunch over Fortnite, why can't y'all sit there and advocate against people trying to gouge you as consumers? I don't know, man.
Actually, when was the last time an Xbox game scored higher than 85?
Forza, maybe. Forza.
Yeah, but that was 2021.
Yeah.
I mean,
Forza.
since then.
Forza. Forza. That's it. When the best offering you have is a niche racer, when that's your best offering, I don't know, what did Indiana Jones get?
I have no idea.
Indiana Jones, the Great Circle. Actually, Indiana Jones got an 86 meta. I didn't even realize that. I didn't even know that.
Can we credit that to the game or to the name?
Yeah, well, no, we can credit that to the Glazers. We can credit it to the Glazers.
Yeah.
That one again. If y'all want to call it an Xbox tax, it's an Xbox surplus. This isn't an 86. This isn't an 86 game. Because the gameplay loop is trash. It isn't an 86 game. I mean, there's a lot of atmospherics and shit like that. But when did we start? Like, bro, like I'm trying to remember. When was the last? Okay, I'll give y'all a prime example. Y'all dogged, and again, it's not my favorite game, but y'all dogged the hell out of Death Stranding, right? Let's see what Death Stranding's Metacritic is. Y'all dogged Death Stranding. Oh, it's a walking simulator. This. Oh, how dare it? And Death Stranding got an 82. The Director's Cut got an 85. Y'all dogged Death Stranding because y'all were saying that the gameplay loop wasn't any good, right? Right? But it was a gorgeous game that had great atmospherics. Now, a lot of people, everybody doesn't agree that the gameplay loop is bad. A lot of people just feel like the gameplay loop is different and that a lot of people just didn't appreciate the gameplay loop. But people that are liking this game, nobody is saying that the gameplay loop is good for South of Midnight. Nobody's saying that. And more objectively, a lot of people wasn't saying that the gameplay loop of Indiana Jones was great. It was like, oh, they captured the essence, the vibe of Indiana Jones. You see what I'm saying, Cold-Blood? So it was horrible at $60. This is why I'm saying I don't get to advocacy, because I'm standing firm. I wasn't a big fan of Death Stranding because the gameplay, I didn't enjoy the gameplay loop. This is me. I'm not mad at anybody that liked it. But I can say I didn't enjoy Death Stranding, the first one, because I didn't enjoy the gameplay loop. It wasn't enough for me. But how can you guys dog out Death Stranding at $60 because y'all didn't like the gameplay loop? But y'all criticize the gameplay loop of these other Xbox games, and they're getting 77s, 85s, 86s on it. It's okay to just have a good vibe when it comes to Xbox, but PlayStation can't do it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, well, at $60, PlayStation, but it's okay at $7. Is that what it was? Should Death Stranding have been 70? Help me understand. You guys hate for PlayStation. I get that it makes good content for the absent-minded. I get that. But when serious shit in gaming happens, your ability to deduce what you should be arguing for and what you shouldn't be, it's brain dead when you let your hate for PlayStation take over.
I still blame, bro. I still blame Z for this.
Oh, yeah. For bringing all these people. Yeah, he did bring in some questionable characters. Let's see here. Andrew Wilkins is cutting up in the chat. Let me see here. Where is? Why don't
someone saying $80 is great for games?
Hell no, incomplete score higher than 85. Let's see here. Says Andrew Wilkins. Yeah. He says no way that dog shit Indiana Jones should be 10 points within HFW. What's HFW? I don't know what the
Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh, is it? No, don't know. There's no way.
Well, Horizon Forbidden West is in the 88 or something.
Oh, okay. He said it should be. Oh, he's saying it shouldn't be 10 points within. Absolutely, yeah, I agree with that. Indiana Jones got a better Metacritic score than Ghost, but they say it's an Xbox tariff. Yeah, bruh. I'm telling you, it's Xbox surplus. Whenever they try to hit you with that Xbox tax, it's an Xbox surplus, bruh. This is a 77? Really? Everybody universally is saying that the gameplay is trash. Good, I'm sorry.
Those Xbox reviewers with the Xbox name,
mm-hmm.
they only have on their checklist one thing: doesn't make you feel good.
Make me feel good.
And the feel is not written as feel, but as feel.
Yeah, man. Like I'm. Makes me wonder, man. It makes me wonder. We're in for some tough times, people. We're trying to advocate and we're trying to amplify voices so we get the best bang out of our buck. We're trying, even on shit that we really don't like. We're just trying to advocate for a standard of not what you like, but a standard of, look, man, this is how you treat consumers. That's all we're trying to advocate for. But I gotta be honest, some of y'all make this shit hard, man. Like, what's wrong with Nintendo charging $1,000 for Mario Kart? Like, come on, man. Come on. Like, we can't be serious. You can't, I don't know. Oh, well. Well, that's the show today, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope we made you think, made you laugh, made you cry. I hope we did all that. I gotta get out of here and get ready for second part of my day work. Hit that like button. Consider subscribing and becoming a member. We got great members content Monday through Friday. And I'm gonna double up again because I got to make up for this Friday. For not having members content. Then I'll have a video out. And then we'll see you guys. Because what we do now is I do like a 30-minute. We were able to make some adjustments, so I could do like a 30-minute premiere. So don't miss those premieres, y'all. We normally air them. We're going to be airing them around 5 p.m. So daily, we're going to do a premiere around 5 p.m. daily, and then the premiere will bring you to a larger discussion that we have on the topic. If you're a member. So you definitely don't want to miss that, okay? All right. With that said, you all have a wonderful gaming day. We are out of here. Peace.